that should stream properly, Davey. I think. I'll fix all that. Don't worry about it.
You got too many employees in this station here.
Davey and I are trying to hold down this fort with just the two of us. You know the song, Just the Two of Us.
Boy, the budgets around here are just fat and happy, aren't they?
Trying to hold down the fort. That's all we're doing. And
Smitty,
it ain't easy.
Executive producer Smitty in there. Boy, you must get a fat paycheck.
So, Davey, can I at least just say this about now that you're sitting down and not running around and everything else that's going on? Plug yourself in. Are you at least happy that the Yankees took 1 of 3 from the Mets yesterday?
Yes, against a bunch of run-in pitchers yesterday. The Yankees almost blew it.
That's the problem.
The Yankees almost blew it.
The Mets had no pitching, and I kept seeing another pitcher come in that I'd never heard of. I guess unless you go to the Syracuse games.
Yeah.
But they had nobody, and I got to tell you, who made that? I forgot who made the Yankee that made a game-winning play, because had Soto gotten that ball through, then now you're going to have a tie game, and the Mets are rallying. It would have been a completely different outcome. What a save that was.
Well, the pitcher that started for the Mets yesterday was a member, according to Jim Ronanelli. We were out yesterday. According to Jim, was a member of the Astros winning World Series team.
All right. So it was difficult for us because we took a train back to Rensselaer. So I don't have any streaming service on my phone that'll stream the Mets or Yankees games.
Apple? No.
It isn't really an Apple thing. It's a rights, MLB rights thing. Unless I could have spent the money on the extra MLB package, and I would have gotten the game. But then you're still dealing with internet problems all the way up through the Hudson. You get it and you don't get it. So we were watching the game on what Google has. I think it might even be MLB's play-by-play.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
which is awful, right?
Yeah.
So you're just sitting and refreshing and refreshing.
Ball one.
Yeah. And that might go on for, 20 minutes, for God's sakes.
You know something?
I'll take a ham sandwich, please.
Saturday's game was on three major channels. Yes, SNY and FS1 had the Mets Yankees game.
Yeah, and I could not get FS1.
Well, you were there on Saturday, so.
Well, Saturday's game. Yeah.
And
I'm
glad to hear that.
I think I seen you when they did a crowd show.
You might have. I was the one. Sitting there. Listen, I got to tell you, and it's funny because when I was reading this post by the police officer in Old Forge about how you don't see this sort of animalistic, I think was the word that he used, which is a very dangerous word.
I knew that was the word that triggered you.
Dangerous word to use, right?
I agree.
Yeah.
But let me
say what I was going to say. We took my parents are Yankees fans, and it's not easy. But we took them to the game, and my father is no longer as sprite as he once was. So we're walking slower, and and I'm telling you, it is a playoff mayhem atmosphere. And all these people who could afford tickets to go to the Mets-Yankees game.
Oh, he went?
Yeah, my parents went.
Oh, that's great.
It was great. However, all these people that had they're probably doctors and lawyers, police officers, maybe work with sanitation, people from Long Island, people from the Bronx, people from all over, who have the means to be able to buy a $20 beer or whatever it costs. Some of the rudest, and it's not just Yankees fans, although they're the worst. Some of the rudest, it's both sides. Some of the rudest people. Like, we're not walking fast enough so they can get to I don't know where they're going. It's an hour before game time. But we're not walking fast enough for them, and literally pushing into people, pushing my parents over. It was getting to be, I was reaching a point where I was not going to handle one more incident very well. It just was so bad. And then we had really good seats. Section 124 at Citi Field. Those are really good seats. You're on the third base side. We were row 23. In row 24, the most obnoxious drunks you will, again, with all they could have had, they may own a boat in Old Forge and just took the weekend to head down to Citi Field. The worst, if I heard, at one point my father said, I'd like to tell them that your mother is an 80-year-old woman and doesn't need to hear the F word so much. I mean, it was brutal, screaming. It was awful. And so all I'm saying is there are bad people everywhere.
Yeah, there's no question. There's no question.
I know that had I said something to these people, which I was very close, it would have not been good, right? So I was close.
Yeah, I mean, I
was very close.
Make a nice viral video.
It would. Oh, by the way, Mike says, some Yankees fans are animalistic, and that they are.
Yeah, those bleacher bums.
Oh boy.
Do they discount the prices at Yankee Stadium in the bleachers with the beer? Because they're typically $18 to $20, but I feel like they're trying to get those people drunk. So it's buy one get two or something like that.
It just was. Now you take all of that and realize that we just witnessed a really good game, and if you're a Mets fan, you loved it, right? If you're a Mets fan, you were all about it, it was a blast. We had I think I can get a camera up here working. Oh my, I can. I can't even believe it. I think I have it working now. Anyway, so it was awesome. Except for that. So you want to talk more about Old Forge?
Yeah, no. Well, let's just on the Mets-Yankees thing, I'm not surprised that the atmosphere was raucous just because of the two teams playing, and it's the Subway Series.
Well, the problem is you had like a group walking over here and a group walking over here, Yankees fans, Mets fans, and they're screaming back at each other. And at one point, it's getting close to like push and shove. And you're standing in the middle of it trying to get your parents through this.
Yeah.
I mean, the same thing held true for people who had kids. It was a full house, sold out. So every seat was taken. That'd be my only complaint. And I didn't complain. Everybody's excited. I get it. But I am making an interesting comparison, I feel.
Well, yeah. Look, I'll say this, too. I've been to some Buffalo Bills games.
Brutal.
Some of the
Eagles, brutal.
Oh, the Eagles. Ugh.
Giants fans, snooty.
Yeah, it happens. It happens.
Yeah.
I was at a Giants-Cowboys game, and I was with a very good friend of mine who is a Cowboys fan, and I had my Giants jersey on. He had his Cowboys jersey on, and we've been friends for 30-something years. So we go to the game. I thought I was going to have to fight a group of Giants fans because they were relentlessly – I mean, they were throwing stuff.
And he's a huge Giant Cowboys fan, too. I know what you're talking about.
I thought – it's unfortunate. Again, I think people get wasted and then they make.
I do think it has everything to do with alcohol.
They think if
it has everything to do with getting wasted.
They think the Mara family is going to spot them on the security camera and go, "That guy is willing to go all in for this team.
All in.
Sign him as the 56th man."
So
we got a spot on special teams for him.
So anyway, it was and the other thing we did when we were in New York was the 9/11 memorial, which is if you go to that, and everyone should take a moment to go there and never forget it is the quietest museum you will ever walk through. I mean, you just don't hear a peep. Nobody talks. And you see things that are just it's unbelievable the things that are on display there inside them. And remember, in the museum, you're walking down into the original basement, if you will, of the actual World Trade Center. So it was, as always, emotional. So we did that. And then the Macy's fireworks thing we got to see in person.
Boy,
and that was pretty cool.
So those aren't real fireworks, are they? Because they're all uniform. They all look identical. It can't be real.
I thought the kind of the same thing so where we were.
It's a choreographed show. There's no way those are real fireworks.
They're real. It's all computerized. Where we were.
Right, they're computerized.
Right. The way they're set off are computerized. But it's not like what they do. I couldn't believe we didn't have like a drone display. Isn't Macy's big enough now to have a drone display like they do in China?
How much do you think they spent on that show? It went for a whole hour at least.
Yeah.
At least it went for an hour.
It was like a grand finale that we see for an hour.
Yeah.
And the only difficulty for us is we couldn't see the ground display coming from the bridge. So all we saw was the stuff that went up in the air. So it did all look the same. But there's an area where a cocktail or two would help. Just squint a little bit and boom. Wow, this is incredible. It's twinkling.
Yeah.
But it was something to watch.
Before I move on, I thought Utica did a nice July 4th demonstration.
That and the Albany Symphony, I have pictures to put up on that, was really, really incredible.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
see, I was able to watch
Point.
From my mother's second-story
Two
porch.
different events, 2 different days.
Okay.
Yeah.
But over in East Utica, it was nice. It was. I remember as a kid we couldn't see that, but again, they used to do them on the Parkway back then. So it was really nice to not have to go anywhere and to be able to watch, and it just lit up the whole sky. And it went for a while. As a matter of fact, I actually went back in the house and said, I've seen enough fireworks, came out and continued the conversation. Yeah. And then there was a grand finale after that. So I thought Utica did a nice job. I will say this, maybe Utica had a better fireworks show than Old Forge. if there's a silver lining.
There's a comparison there. I guess there is.
And I'm getting text messages here. I just want to say before we jump off the Mets-Yankees thing, stop the Yankee bashing.
Listen, I'm not.
Just because the Mets win a couple games, you think the world is all a happy place again.
No. Let me tell you.
Come on. That's ridiculous.
We're certainly not going down that road. What I'm saying is there were a-hole Mets fans and a-hole Yankees fans that were out of control, I kind of felt. And that's all. And that was both sides. It was not just one side.
Just because you buy a bleacher ticket at Yankee Stadium and they give you free beer for the whole night, that doesn't mean I'm bashing the Yankees.
I see you're going down that road. All right, Davey, what do you have?
Well, the sympathy thing was on Wednesday.
That was
Thursday.
Wednesday.
No, Thursday. And I did the Utica 4th of July parade.
You were in the parade,
on Friday.
Yeah.
It was packed.
Yeah, good crowd, good weather, and all that stuff.
And then just one clarification. I think when we talked about this earlier, you referred to it as Saturday. That shooting at that house party in Utica was Friday night. It was on the 4th. It happened around 10:30.
I thought it was on the 5th. Okay, all right.
So it happened around 10:30.
Which is when you'd expect it to occur, right?
Yes, and as a matter of fact, I know on the 5th, somebody was complaining about the heat, and I think it was Mike Gentile said, look, we've got a member of the Utica Police Department who coaches one of the teams. It's Curly.
Yeah.
He's phenomenal. But they said he's been up all night investigating a homicide, and he's coming to the game this morning. So if anyone's going to complain, let it be him.
That's right.
Don't complain about the heat.
And by the way, Wayne, yes, that did happen. That did happen on the 4th. So terrible. Davey, what do you have?
Don't go to break because we got Jonathan calling.
Okay, well, I've got a ton more I can get to today on the program. I want to, I had somebody make fun, ridicule, because of texting. People who are older tend to text with their index finger. How are you texting? Yeah, you're doing it with your thumbs. I did a little testing, and I do think the iPhone is made for texting with the thumbs.
Yeah.
Because if you text with your index finger and then look at the errors and then text with your thumbs and look at the errors, you will have fewer errors if you text with your thumb.
Yeah, it could be.
So it's not an older, younger thing. It's a correct versus incorrect thing, I do believe. And I could be wrong. Let's see. What do we have? Jonathan Savage with Fox News Radio. This is the 20th anniversary, as we're speaking of violence, 20-year anniversary of the 7/7 London terror attacks, July 7th, that left more than 50 people dead. Jonathan Savage on the line right now from Fox News Radio. Jonathan, good morning. One of those anniversaries that we always put the tagline, never forget.
Absolutely. And here in London, you do never forget it. Everybody in London uses the London Underground, the Tube, uses London buses. We all use public transport to get around. It's just one of the facts of life in this city. And for those of us old enough to remember 7/7, it's very hard not to get on board a tube train or a London bus without feeling slightly vulnerable as a result of what happened 20 years ago when 4 suicide bombers blew themselves up, killing 52 and injuring more than 700.
You know, I've just recently had a very similar conversation about this, and you know, when it comes to creating peace in the Middle East, and you realize that there are people who are willing to strap bombs on themselves, and in order to prove their point or inflict pain, kill themselves, and that's what that was. It was just horrific.
Indeed, this was the first suicide attack on European soil. It came just under 4 years, of course, after 9/11, and was a reminder to us here in the UK and throughout Europe that we were not immune from the scourge of Islamist terrorism in general. And it's something which is still felt to this day. There have been further terror attacks throughout Europe since then, but this was one of the largest in terms of its scale, in terms of its impact, both regarding the human tragedy, but also the cultural and impact of it as well.
You know, it's interesting too when you look at Europe and you realize very much like we are with Canada. If you live in New York to the north, traveling by Niagara Falls, especially in that area, Buffalo, you're traveling back and forth in and out of Canada. Some people may work in Canada or work in the United States, but in Europe, you travel from border to border, across borders all the time. Yet we're having this border issue in the United States. Have you felt that in Europe?
Yeah, in continental Europe in particular, that's right. You can theoretically travel from Portugal in the southwest to Poland in the east without having your passport checked a single time. Although today, I can tell you that Poland is closing a couple of its land borders because they want to discourage asylum seekers. But in Germany in particular, there's been the debate about people coming into the country who have subsequently carried out terror attacks. But in the context of 7/7, one of the things which it made it particularly difficult for British people to take was that 3 of the 4 bombers were born and raised in England. The 4th lived in England most of his life, having been born in Jamaica.
Wow. As we say here, when it comes to 9/11, and I was at that museum in New York City over the weekend, the same there. Never forget.
Yeah, never forget. Thank you.
We appreciate your time. Thanks so much, Jonathan Savage from Fox News Radio. From one border to another, here he is, Stefan Ritzky. Good morning, Stefan.
Oh, what kind of an introduction is that?
Sorry, I didn't know where else to go with it. Good morning.
Well, hello, Bill.
So you had everybody all scared. You went MIA over the weekend.
I did.
Where are you calling from now? I can just tell from whatever device you're on. It's not your typical cell phone.
No, it's a hospital room.
Yeah, his diabetes got out of control.
It wasn't behavioral. It was.
No, you didn't do anything crazy, right?
No.
And you're feeling better.
Yes, I am. Hopefully, go home today at some point.
All right. Okay. All right. And the Mets, I knew there was something going on when I had not heard from you for 3 days with the Mets-Yankees Subway Series coming up. I knew there had to be trouble out there.
And they were in the game yesterday as well. They almost made a big comeback, but it was not to be. But they stayed in it, and hopefully things look brighter for the Mets.
You know what?
Going forward.
I got to tell you that I don't understand, and maybe Jeff, you can explain this to me. Maybe Stefan, you know, and maybe Davey, you know, as a Yankees fan. So the Yankees fans, and there were, I'd say probably about 60% of the people at the game were Mets fans.
Okay.
Maybe
you
even
concerned me there for a minute.
maybe even a little more. There were maybe it was 70%, whatever. But even and I was on the Yankees dugout side, and I feel like there were a lot of Mets fans there. But you also had a lot of families like ours where they were mixed. Mets fans and Yankees fans all within the same family. It does happen. Nonetheless, I don't understand this. So when Juan Soto comes to bat, the Yankees fans, it's, F you, booing, we hate you, you traitor, blah, 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 blah. Okay. I understand that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you're going a little bit too far. You're on the third base side. Okay. He can't hear you. I can tell you right now, he can't hear you. But apparently you got to have your voice heard. But what I don't understand is why when Judge comes to bat, why do Mets fans boo Judge? Just because he's good?
Oh, that's
or he's the equivalent to Juan Soto on the Yankees? Is that why the Mets fans are booing him? I just did not understand that. But it was every at-bat. Every time Judge came up, the Mets fans booed him.
That's interesting.
This is it's interesting. I get it. Juan Soto left the Yankees. I feel like Juan Soto will be booed by Yankees fans for the next decade. I don't know of a time when that's ever going to go away. But what did Judge do?
Yeah, Bill, that's such a fair point to bring up. I think it's just because he's a star player on the opposing team.
He's the equivalent on the other side.
But I agree. The Yankees fans have reason to boo Soto.
They got it. They have a reason. And
Mets fans are booing Judge just because we don't have him.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I did not understand that. So if Yankees fans are looking for a little something there you go. It just did not make any sense to me. And by the way, I did love all the focus on Juan Soto while Nimmo and Pete Alonso just kept knocking the ball out of the park.
Yeah.
Pretty good. All right, quick break, and we'll come back. And today we are going to get into a little of this. I want to read from some of the Facebook post of the Old Forge police officer, because I think in some points he really makes a very good point. I mean, what are we doing here? What are you doing in your own neighborhood? And destroying your own neighborhood. I don't get it. And people, this fighting back and forth, I don't understand. However, at the same time, I think he made some points that were, I feel at this day and age, inappropriate and a little bit on the dangerous side. We'll talk to Dr. Mark Montgomery on that issue. He is with SUNY Poly, I believe. Also, Attorney John Raspani is on this morning regarding the Taylor Uvani animal cruelty case back from October 2023. We want to get into that a little bit with him. Don, is it Levy or Levy? Levy is with Sienna, and their polling is out. An early look at the 2026 Hochul versus everybody else, including Stefanik. There's a new poll out. Sheriff Rob Mashel on law enforcement. Joe Cardinale, retired NYPD commander, is on this morning. Milwaukee police facing opposition over facial recognition technology. Man, I got to tell you, wherever you went in New York City, you knew there was a camera on you. Everywhere you go. I don't think in the bathroom, though. I'm pretty sure you can go to the bathroom without having a camera there. But everywhere else, there's a camera everywhere. Stefan, you feel better and get out, okay?
Okay, and go Mets.
Go Mets. Okay. Quick break, and we'll come back here. You want to talk about any of this, 315-736-0186 at WIBX.
Heat advisory 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. today. Mix of clouds and sunshine and hot today. Scattered late afternoon and evening showers and storms. Highs low 90s. Heat index middle to upper 90s. Upper 60s tonight. More clouds and sunshine Tuesday. Cooler. Slight chance of showers low 80s. Partly sunny mid 80s Wednesday. I'm meteorologist Ken Boone from the Weather Channel on WIBX 950 AM and 92.3 FM.
Well, we have a beautiful day on the way today with plenty of sunshine, especially if you like it hot. We're going up again, back up into the low 90s. Currently, plenty of sunshine, partly cloudy, 72 at WIBX.
Every once in a while, something that sounds too good to be true is actually in fact true. How would you like up to $2,000 of free windows? When I say $2,000 of free windows, I mean $2,000 of free windows. No gimmicks or games. You don't have to buy $2,000 to get $2,000 free. You just get $2,000 of free windows through Patriot Home Solutions and NYSERDA. Of course, some restrictions apply, but none of the restrictions are income-based. And you don't have to sit through a long, drawn-out sales presentation. Give Patriot a call at 315-401-0440, and they can quickly tell you over the phone if you qualify or how you can get qualified. That's 315-401-0440. These aren't any windows. They're high-quality, custom-fitted windows designed to save energy and keep the cold air out all winter. Your window solution is Patriot Home Solutions. Online at patriothomesolutions.com.
The Potting Shed Antiques in Whitesboro is buying silver, gold, gold-filled, vintage costume, estate jewelry, and U.S. and Canadian coins. They've been your hometown buyer for over 50 years. While other gold and silver buyers claim to offer the highest prices, the Potting Shed Antiques actually delivers. Let Don Hartman take a look at your individual pieces or your entire collection. The Potting Shed Antiques, open Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. Please call ahead for an appointment. Visit thepottingshedantiques.com.
Hey, it's Mike Rowe, and if you want to do business with a company that actually stands for something, switch to Pure Talk. I did. Sure, I appreciate being on America's most dependable 5G network with unlimited talk and text for just $20 a month, but what I really appreciate is Pure Talk's commitment to our military and to our skilled workforce. That matters to me. Save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
WIBX. This is Keeler. WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM. Now back to the Keeler Show.
Just odd, right? Odd.
An odd bird.
Odd. I don't understand it.
So I know coming up.
I have a ton of comments, by the way.
Oh, well, let's get
Go ahead.
No, well, I want to make a point. I don't want to conflate the two things, and I know coming up we're going to talk to Dr. Montgomery about the comments were made on the Facebook post about Old Forge and Utica. I did want to say something about Utica, and I don't think it gives Utica, it doesn't put Utica in a great light, but I don't want to conflate the two and suggest that they're related in any way. But over the weekend, there was the big Little League tournament finale. This was the 10 to 12-year-olds, and I think Mike Gentile is going to scold me here because he said it to me 3 times, and I kept saying it wrong. So from here, the kids move on to the sectionals.
This is Little League?
Little League, right?
They go to sectionals now?
But it's not sectionals as we think of high school sports.
I know that,
sectionals.
but I've never used to. They used to be called districts.
So this is districts, I think.
Okay.
And then it's sectionals.
Oh, I didn't know
Then
that.
it's states. Then it's regionals. I believe that's how it goes.
Okay.
Mike, forgive me if I said that wrong. So I understand there's a lot of passion and emotion because in the end, all these kids want to end up on television on ESPN.
Yeah, be one of the teams that goes off to the Little League World Series.
But unfortunately, the emotion that I witnessed was related more to parents than it was to the kids. And the kids played hard, and the kids played great. And this particular game I'm talking about, it was Utica New Hartford in the championship game, and the score got away a little bit in the last inning because it was a very close, intense game. But there were 2 people who had, and I can't say who. I'm speaking
not
as
about the people. I'm asking which team.
Utica.
So Utica ran away with it.
No, New Hartford won.
Okay.
But there were a couple parents on Utica that I don't know. I don't understand why you think it's all right to just scream at umpires like that and throw fits the way. Maybe throwing a fit is too strong a word. I don't know. But the yelling and the screaming, and 2 individuals who are I will say, I'm not going to say the names, Bill, but they are notable people in Utica. If I said the names, the audience would know these people had to be asked to leave the game.
Had to be asked to leave. Wow. You know, there used to be an understanding, like you can do that at a pro
Mets
game.
Yankees game?
Yeah. There was a lot of that. And let me tell you, some of the calls yesterday, Davey, I just the Mets manager was thrown out because of it. Some of the calls were just like ridiculously outside and being called a strike. Now, to be fair, I feel like it happened to both teams, but not consistent, right? Not like it was consistent. It was inconsistent, and like 1 minute, one pitch, that's a strike. The next pitch, it's way outside. That if you're always living with that outside corner being a strike, you learn to adjust.
Yeah.
But if it's inconsistent, it's and yesterday I felt like the umps were very inconsistent. And there you've got the box right there, the ball coming. You can see exactly where that ball's going.
Yeah.
Supposedly. But there was always an understanding that when you got into high school, let alone Little League, there was a decorum.
Not anymore.
Interesting.
It doesn't exist anymore. I was surprised. I was really kind of surprised. And again, these are parents who are kind of acting like morons in front of 11 and 12-year-old kids.
Yeah.
It was.
Well,
I get it. It was championship game. It's emotional. There was a lot of people there, but
you're not winning.
You're not winning.
You're not playing. Sometimes I think like the parents are out there playing, just watching some of them, and go to a wrestling match once and watch a parent. They're literally putting the move on. It's like playing air guitar, and they're doing it when it comes to a wrestling move in the stands. I mean, you're not wrestling right now, right? Let your kid do it. Don't make a fool of yourself. But I do understand it's passionate. There's a lot of passion.
It's just, sometimes we talk about maybe parents who get a little out of hand, and it's sometimes there's a reason why you can't find sports officials, not just baseball, but in all different sports, where people don't want to do it, where they don't think it's worth the money. And I think in some cases, this could be an example of why people don't want to do it. Because even when you make the right call, you have someone screaming at you going, "Come on, Blue! What are you watching?"
Meanwhile,
it's a little over the top. It's a little over the top.
These guys behind us, it was incredible. They knew they could see every pitch from the third base side.
Yeah.
Every pitch. And I wanted to turn around and say, you do know you have no way, it is impossible for you to know where that ball is based on where we're sitting right now. And you would never, I don't know how they did it. They were really, really good at being able to see something from way far away at the wrong angle. It was impressive.
Sometimes you have to find the right word to describe it. I was at a Mets game, and I was foolishly arguing balls and strikes from the second deck. And some guy 4 rows behind was talking to his girlfriend, and he goes, "Look at this guy. He's going to argue balls and strikes all night from the second deck." And I heard him say that, and I went, maybe he's got a point.
Yeah.
I'll just enjoy my beer.
Davey, you need me to break. I'll do it right now. We have news coming up here.
Killer Queen, the world-renowned tribute band to the iconic rock group Queen, is coming to the Stanley Theater Friday, September 19th, 2025 at 8 p.m. With a reputation that extends far beyond the UK, Killer Queen's journey has included performances in some of the world's most prestigious arenas. Enjoy your favorite Queen songs like you've never heard them before. Killer Queen, live at the Stanley Theater Friday, September 19th, 2025 at 8 p.m. Get your tickets at the Stanley Theater box office or online at thestanley.org.
Nurses at Oneida Health Hospital always advocate for our patients and work hard to provide the best care for them. Now we're fighting to make sure that hospital executives put patients over profits and properly staff their hospital. Nurses are demanding a fair contract to ensure that we can continue to provide the safe, quality patient care our community deserves. Learn more and take action at www.
From the Stanley Theater Studio, WIBX Utica, Rome. WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM, celebrating 100 years.
Let's do another 10%. I'm Chris Foster. Fox News. President Trump is threatening an extra import tax on members of the BRICS alliance, a 10-nation group including Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, and says letters announcing trading partners' tariff rates start going out today.
He's pushing them to quickly make new deals before a Wednesday deadline.
I think we'll have most countries done by July 9th, yeah.
The letters warn countries that the higher tariffs could kick in as early as August 1st. But in true Trump fashion, he's also hinting he could extend the time for deal-making. Daria Albinger, Fox News.
Now 82 deaths confirmed in Friday's flash flooding in central Texas.
The frantic search continues for missing campers and a missing counselor from Hunt, Texas's Camp Mystic. Fox 4 confirmed Camp Mystic director Dick Eastland died trying to save girls from the raging Guadalupe River. While on scene, men tell Fox 4 they were looking along the riverbank for their missing grandmother. But Sunday afternoon, storms made the recovery efforts more difficult. Rainfall triggered a new flash flood warning. People in Hunt told to get to higher ground.
That's Peyton Yeager with Fox 4 Dallas. There's also flooding in North Carolina from a storm yesterday.
The remnants of Tropical Depression Chantal is forecast to move into the mid-Atlantic states with heavy rain along its path northward. Strong to severe thunderstorms expected for the northern and central high plains today, while the heat ramps up over the northwest and the desert southwest.
Fox meteorologist Janice Dean. Russia and Ukraine trade drone strikes.
More than 20 people were wounded by a Russian drone attack on Kharkiv in eastern Ukraine, 3 of them children, in a drone strike that damaged apartments and a kindergarten. Russia also targeted the northeastern Sumy region and the capital Kyiv. Russian authorities claim to have intercepted 8 Ukrainian drones headed for Moscow.
It's Jonathan Savage. America's listening to Fox News.
Are you living with dry AMD? If so, you could be on the road to geographic atrophy, or GA, a condition that leads to retinal cell death and permanent vision loss. But with Izervay, you can slow it down. Izervay slows GA progression by targeting a key source of retinal cell death, which may help preserve your vision longer. Izervay, or Avastin Captid Pagel, is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
Republicans and Democrats in Congress say the so-called Big Beautiful Bill will help win next year's midterm elections.
House Speaker Mike Johnson says that criticism from Democrats that the plan is nothing but a tax cut for the rich will fall flat.
They are overlooking the actual facts.
Johnson says the average working American household will have $13,000 more in take-home pay.
And we'll be able to point to that as the obvious result of what we did.
California Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna counters with this.
I just don't think that taking away the health care with the Medicaid cuts and food assistance to give the tax breaks for the very wealthy is going to be good for working and middle-class Americans.
Both men appeared on Fox News Sunday. Kevin Uretsky, Fox News.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu visits the White House this evening.
This is Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's third visit to the White House since President Trump began his second term. It comes in the wake of the U.S. strikes against Iran's nuclear facilities, which Netanyahu says has created new opportunities in the Middle East. Netanyahu saying, I believe that the conversation with President Trump can definitely help advance that result, which we are all hoping for. One of those goals is the release of the hostages, 20 of whom he says are alive, 30 of whom are dead. Last week, Hamas said it had a positive response to the latest ceasefire proposal. President Trump says he's hopeful a deal will be reached within the coming days.
Fox's Madeline Rivera. An Australian woman's found guilty of killing 3 in-laws with poisoned mushrooms in their lunch. Mexico beats the U.S. in the CONCACAF Gold Cup soccer final.
Chris Richards gave America the early lead just 4 minutes in. Mexico equalized in the 27th, and then in the 77th on Fox, had a free kick.
Now it's hooked in, it takes the flick, and it's in! It's Edson Alvarez!
That would be the game winner. Mexico makes it back-to-back Gold Cup titles 2-1.
That's Fox's Greg Thompson. Dow futures are down 29 ahead of the opening bell on Wall Street. I'm Chris Foster. This is Fox News.
Here's the latest from the WIBX newsroom. I'm Doug Callan. Police in Utica are coming off a weekend of violence over the 4th of July weekend after a 39-year-old male was shot and killed in the area of James Street and Howard Avenue on Saturday night at around 10:30 after reports of gunshots. Another victim treated at Wynn Hospital for a gunshot wound to the leg. Police say the crowd at the scene actually prevented medical crews from assisting the victims at the scene. One police officer was injured during the violence. Treated at Wynn Hospital, police are continuing to investigate. A child hit by a car in Sylvan Beach receiving non-life-threatening injuries. According to police, the boy was crossing the street at around 9:30 when he was struck by a 56-year-old New Hartford woman, Suzanne Lefebvre, who immediately stopped and called 911. She was ticketed for not yielding to a pedestrian and a crosswalk. People across the area are going to have to deal with yet another day of high temperatures. The Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Services say extreme heat will impact individuals living here in the region. The heat index in some of the spots could reach 101 degrees. A 2-alarm fire in Rome over the weekend on Saturday night on Sam Street. Everyone was able to get out of the 2-family residence safely. Several cats and dogs were also rescued. The Red Cross is assisting the displaced residents. After a couple of weeks of increases, the pain of the pump is easing a bit in central New York. AAA says the average cost for a gallon of regular fuel right now is $3.13. That's down 2 cents from this time last week, but it's also 8 cents more than what motorists were paying at this point last month. The state average currently is at $3.19. Nationally, it's $3.14. In sports, the Yankees salvaged the 3rd game of the Subway Series with the Mets on Sunday with a 6-4 win. Both teams are off tonight. Baltimore beat Atlanta 2-1. The Blue Jays over the Dodgers. Detroit beat Cleveland. And Tampa Bay 7-5 over the Twins. In the National League, the Phillies beat the Reds 3-1. Milwaukee 3-1 over the Marlins. Chicago 11-0 over St. Louis. One of the best young wide receivers in the country will be starting his college career with Syracuse. Calvin Russell announced his commitment to the Orange over the weekend and chose SU over Oregon, Florida State, and Michigan. Russell says he was impressed by Syracuse head coach Fran Brown. The Nationals shook up the organization after a Sunday loss. The team fired general manager Mike Rizzo and manager Dave Martinez after a 37-53 start to the year. Brian Campbell celebrating another victory after winning the John Deere Classic at the TPC Deere Run. I'm Doug Callan. That is the latest from WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM.
Heat advisory 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. today. Mix of clouds and sunshine and hot today. Scattered late afternoon and evening showers and storms. Highs low 90s. Heat index middle to upper 90s. Upper 60s tonight. More clouds and sunshine Tuesday. Cooler. Slight chance of showers low 80s. Partly sunny mid 80s Wednesday. I'm meteorologist Ken Boone from the Weather Channel on WIBX 950 AM and 92.3 FM.
Currently, we have some sunshine. Partly sunny skies, partly cloudy skies. 73 now at WIBX.
Hey there, it's summer and the energy is on. One of my favorite quotes is energy is everything. Lisa here, and we're turning up the heat at Fit Body Boot Camp with our summer sizzle. Life gets crazy this time of year, but just 30 minutes of exercise can keep you fit, focused, and feeling fantastic. With 2 convenient locations in Whitesboro and Clinton, Fit Body Boot Camp's summer sizzle will help you feel confident and strong. Did I mention that we have air conditioning? We're not just a gym, we're a community that inspires fitness and changes lives. Ready to take that first step? Come join us and get fit for summer.
Don't miss Clinton Tractor Spring Sales Event. We're giving you the best deals of the season on all of our inventory. Thousands of used and new equipment in stock, all in one location. Get 0% financing on new Ferris commercial mowers, Massey Ferguson, and New Holland equipment. And trailers and used equipment as low as 5.49%. Restrictions apply. We're giving you the best deals of the season. It's Clinton Tractor Spring Sales Event.
We are the leader in service, Clinton Tractor.
ClintonTractor.net.
In life, we're often faced with difficult decisions. When it comes to caring for our loved one, the choice can be overwhelming. But amidst the uncertainties, there is one decision that stands out as an act of profound love and gratitude: choosing hospice care. Hospice care isn't just about medical support. It's about honoring the journey of those who've given their all to their families. It's about providing comfort, dignity, and peace in their final days, surrounded by loved ones. Choosing hospice is a way to give back to someone who has selflessly given their life to others. At Hospice and Palliative Care, we understand the weight of this choice. Our compassionate team is here to guide you through every step of the journey, providing personalized care that respects the individuality and dignity of your loved one. When it's time to say goodbye, choose hospice care. Choose love. Choose Hospice and Palliative Care, serving Oneida, Herkimer, and Eastern Madison counties. Visit our website, hospicecareinc.org, or call 315-735-6484.
When you need us most.
Hi, this is Scott Hayes.
And this is Jill Hayes from New York Sash.
Right now, when you buy 2 windows, you get 1 free.
That's right. Wait, Scott, what did you say?
Jill, it's the buy 2, get 1 free sale, our best sale of the year.
But Scott, it's summer. That's the offer we make in the winter.
Right. Well, I guess that one's on me because I just told the team that this year's Independence sale is buy 2 windows, get 1 free.
So that means customers can buy 4 windows and get 2 free, or 6 windows and get 3 free?
Exactly. There's no end to the savings. And it's easy to take advantage of this offer. Just stop by the New York Sash Idea and Design Center this week. Browse our selection and save.
But it's for a limited time, right, Scott?
That's right. Stop in or call for 1 final week, and you'll lock in our most popular offer of the year. Buy 2 windows, get 1 free during the Independence Sale at New York Sash.
We're open Monday through Saturday on Oriskany Boulevard in Whitesboro. And as always, let our family take care of your family.
Make a difference in your community with the Boilermaker Volunteer Program. Join them in the heart of the action on July 13th. The volunteer portal is now open at boilermaker.com/volunteer. Brought to you by the Fountainhead Group. They have various needs and leadership opportunities available. Sign up today, be part of something amazing, and help make the Boilermaker unforgettable. Lace up your passion for Utica and volunteer at boilermaker.com now.
Celebrating 100 years. This is Keeler. WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM. Now back to the Keeler Show.
Good God Almighty. Let's see, I want to tell you about a couple things. Portions of the program today being brought to you by Steve Ponte Mazda. New year, new Mazda sales event. It's the Move to Mazda sales event that's really going on. This is just continued because they keep loading vehicles onto the lot. They keep putting more brand new vehicles on the lot. And you can take advantage of 0.9% APR financing on new 2025 Mazda CX-30s, 5s, CX-50s, 70s, and 90s. See Rick or anybody at the dealership for details. It's Steve Ponte Mazda, Commercial Drive in Yorkville. What else can I give you here this morning? I have much to talk about. I have a lot to talk about. Falcon Clinic in Washington Mills, accepting new patients. The Falcon Clinic is the area's premier osteopathic medical clinic. And they do something that is an osteopathic treatment. And it really just makes sure everything in your body is flowing properly. Your shoulders are in shape. You're in the right place. Your bones and your skeletal makeup is all the way it's supposed to be. You're walking properly. By the time you are done, you walk out of there feeling like $1 million. I will go through that tomorrow at the Falcon Clinic. You could just call. You don't need a referral or anything. Just call and say, I want that treatment. And I'm telling you, I do it once a month, and it makes a world of difference. It's the Falcon Clinic. Call today. Dr. Shemileski, Dr. Zielinski, other physicians all under one roof, even acupuncture offered at the Falcon Clinic in Washington Mills. I have a couple of comments. Lance and Lee out commenting here this morning. Manaski, doesn't Utica have a history with parents at Little League games? Didn't Joe Marino attack an umpire a few years ago? Just a continuation of out-of-control parents from Utica. Is it fair to say Utica?
It's not fair to only say Utica. It's not fair to only say Utica. And I also want to be clear. The Marino situation that he mentioned involved a physical bump, right? A chest bump or a little push.
There was contact. There's never you can't contact.
Right.
But it was not a punch. It was not anything like that.
Yeah. And what happened over the weekend that I referred to there was no physical contact. There was, and I think that escalates to a different level. There was no physical contact like that, and there was no threats of physical contact. So it's two different things. But overall, I would say Little League baseball is where you run into that more. Not necessarily Utica, but
Little League. That's shocking to me. Other comments. Jeff, were you really surprised? I wasn't. Their true colors are shining through, Lance and Lee. This is Dan in Stidville. I did see this story from Syracuse.com. Sadie Skinner, had just started. My eyes are going crazy with this white screen. Had just started her day as a sandwich artist at Shorty's Deli in Camden last Wednesday when a bunch of cops showed up in a blacked-out van and took away the owner of a neighborhood Chinese restaurant. She watched as U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement officers put the man, Jian Hao Zhang, in the van, leaving his wife and two grown children standing in the parking lot with a local police chief. It's wild to me, she said later, said Dan in Stittsville. I did see that story. It did happen in Camden, of all places.
Some of the Trump supporters are going to get upset about this. To me, there's a very clear difference. Like I just said, you're talking about there's a line in the sand. It's different levels, but we're just deporting people who've been here for years, who are business owners, taxpayers. We're throwing these people out just like that.
What I don't understand is we're now giving a pass to farming, agriculture, which I think we should. And hotel staff, hospitality. But what about the guy who works at a Chinese restaurant? What about somebody who works somewhere else they don't get the same pass? They're not criminals. Well, they're here illegally. Yeah, but so are the people working on the farms.
Worst of the worst.
So I just don't know that
the worst of the worst. Unite it.
I think these passes are important, I'm not sure we're being consistent with it. Like, that doesn't make sense to me.
This is going to hurt Trump in the polls, and I don't know if it's going to have an impact on the midterm, but I have heard stories like this where there is, there was a story in the South about some woman who was a waitress for, 12 or 20 years. She worked at some little diner out there, and everybody in the community loved her. And again, she had a job, and she paid taxes, and she was a contributor to the community. And they rolled in and just arrested her and deported her. And it's like, that doesn't, to me, ring as the worst of the worst. The gang members, the violent criminals. I don't know that America wants the administration to go that far.
I want to come to the Old Forge, and this is terrible over the weekend. On the 4th, actually, late at night, I guess this is when this happened, about 10:30 p.m., and the police were trying to get EMT workers in because of a gunshot report, and there was someone in the street, and they were being attacked by the people in the neighborhood, preventing them from getting in and helping the victim. Another person, so that victim died. Another person was taken to the hospital with a gunshot wound to the leg, and a police officer was injured. It was a very terrible situation, and you wonder what in the world are we doing. Now, with that said...
One clarification. I don't know necessarily that it's people in the neighborhood, but it was the party goers.
Well, I don't know where they're from. Yeah. Fair enough. Okay.
There's a lot of great people who live in that neighborhood.
That's my whole point of this. Alan Wolf is a police officer at Old Forge. He says, what a difference 50 miles makes. I work in Old Forge. His mom apparently lives in Utica. The streets, restaurants, stores, campsites, and camps were full of people, full of life, campfires everywhere, smells of grilled meat, campfire smoke, people on the boats, motorcycles on foot. In the summer, we're creating a nice scene.
Painting a picture.
They thanked me for my service, even invited me to join them. They say there are 2 holidays in Old Forge, the winter and July 4th. Like I said, yesterday was July 4th, a beautiful day. Yet, from 3 p.m. until 10 while I worked, I had not heard one swear word, seen one argument, heard one illegal firework. I smelled marijuana once for 5 seconds while passing the bars. At 10 p.m., fireworks were over. Hundreds of cars and thousands of people were waiting in line, waiting in traffic. They weren't arguing. They weren't yelling. They weren't flipping people off. He sees different people than I see. I'm just saying. It is a civilized society. Then I headed south to work overnight in the valley. By around 11 p.m., there were 2 people shot in Utica, bystanders obstructing and preventing assaulting first responders, stopping them from helping a person who was dying in the street. There were fighting, challenging, and threatening officers. They were disrespectful, disorderly, inappropriate, combative, a mob. Multiple fights broke out at the scene, and some of this is very true. It's exactly what did happen. The morning I watched some videos, and I cannot help think, what's so different? What is causing people to act this way? What can be done to bring some civilization and order to the streets of Utica? It's not about bail reform. It's not about the failed decisions coming from Albany. There's something else going on. What is happening? And he described the people as animalistic. So what are city leaders doing, et cetera, et cetera? I wanted to bring in Dr. Mark Montgomery on this topic because it really portrayed Utica as a place where, using the word animalistic, which I think is a very dangerous word to use in this particular case. Dr. Montgomery, good morning. Thanks as always for taking time to join us here this morning. Good morning.
Good morning to you, my friend. You've been behaving yourself?
No, of course. You would know that. I always do.
Well, Bill's a bit of an animal on the weekends anyway.
Yes, I try not to be too animalistic. What are your, I know you've seen this and I sent it to you. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. It's always a wonderful conversation. And I think that's probably the point of what I wanted to contribute today. First of all, thank you to Officer Wolf, because there's a lot to unpack here.
Yeah.
There's first of all, there's the Facebook post in general. Sometimes platforms are not always the places for some of these questions, but at the same time, they also can be an antecedent for further discussion. And I just want to say before I forget that I would really enjoy a cup of coffee with Mr. Wolf, because he's asking questions, and that's part of the issue. When you stop asking questions, change also halts, because the post comes across to me as a little bit of frustration, and I totally understand that. Yeah. But on the positive side, he's asking questions. And I'm not sure Facebook is the place for those questions versus stakeholders and those who are charged with enforcing rules and policies and creating atmospheres where we can all be safe and valued, seen, and heard. Some of these questions that they're asking are better suited for those forums.
Yeah.
But that being said, to your point, Bill, we have to be concerned with language. We do have to be concerned with how things are presented.
Animalistic, uncivilized, full of people with a street mentality. They need to, even the word "they" oftentimes can be used in a dangerous way, which can oftentimes inspire the people who are racist, who are bigots. It's interesting because it looks like someone else responded to him and saying that that she, who I think is related to him, that she feels there's been a generations of poverty, systemic neglect, underfunded schools, broken promises, et cetera, which lend to a lot of this breakdown of the family, which can also lead to this behavior. Your thoughts on that?
Well, that's really interesting. You folks were talking about sports between baseball, and I love that the comment when your partner there was in the stands and someone else said, this person over here is going to question every call. I don't know if you know this, but I've been a basketball official for 31 years.
That. Yeah.
Board certified for more than 10 years. And there's an expression amongst officials: we never miss a call while we're in the stands. And it's really
That's brilliant.
You get them all right. You get them all right.
I wish I could take credit for that. But here's the thing: behaviors are learned. They are not innate. You are not born with this desire to confront law enforcement. You're not taught to stop people's ability to render for first aid. I mean, these behaviors are encouraged. And, if you want to have fun, just go to a basketball game. You want to see what we tolerate. And at the same time, I think part of the question, which Mr. Wolf would appreciate, I can't speak to the country, but I can speak to Central New York and certain boards that we have. We have slowly been taking part of the game back. For example, years ago, you would receive a technical foul if a student or if a person dropped the F-bomb on the basketball court.
Right.
Nowadays, not only can you receive a technical, you can be tossed off the court. To Mr. Wolf's point, when we get to the point where society has had enough and we have to start taking things back, this is what is going to ensue. I really feel bad for people who are living where I used to live. I lived in Cornhill for a while. I remember coming home one night after DJing a party and turned on a Hobart Street, and the street was literally full. I could not move, and it was a big street fight. This is going back almost 30 years.
Yeah.
So what happened on the 4th of July was not, oh, my God, this has never happened before. These things happen quite a bit. They just go unreported. But I feel bad for people who are living wherever, who are trying to do it right, who are raising kids to respect law, order, and respect people in authority, to honor police and veterans and teachers. We have to remember these people are also part of this fight. I will say, Jesus Christ once said when he was talking about the poor have always been with you. And the same thing applies here. These situations have always been here. This is not new. But the question is how we respond to these is really going to be relevant.
Making the comparison of whether it be Cornhill, West Utica is really, Cornhill has improved tremendously if you really drive through Cornhill. But West Utica is struggling today. But, when you have and I think the Amber here, who may be related to Alan Wolf, had said, you're talking about apples and oranges here, basically. You can't compare Old Forge to an area where many of the people probably involved in what happened on Friday, while it be terrible, and it is terrible and needs to not happen and be stopped, these are people who have no opportunity. They're not going to be on a boat out on Fourth Lake tomorrow with enjoying the sunshine. They're not going to have that opportunity. And a lot of times, lack of opportunity plays a big role in things like this that happen. Your thoughts?
I agree and I disagree.
Okay.
I'm an old school country boy. I grew up in Bridgewater. You can't even compare Bridgewater to Old Forge.
Right.
One is a tourist attraction. One is drawing people from around the world to enjoy where I'm literally sitting right now, which is in the middle of the Adirondack Park. And there's a reason why I'm here. But I also recognize how fortunate I am to be able to be here.
Mm-hmm.
Part of me is I was raised, I grew up on welfare. So it's not like you don't understand. Yeah, I'm afraid I do understand. By my parents, even though they were divorced, encouraged us to work hard. If you need money, you go out and you mow lawns, you work on farms, and you shovel snow in the winter. You do whatever you want. I grew up literally not being able to afford sneakers when I competed in sports. So there is the argument about opportunity, but there's also the argument to be raised, that especially in Utica. Utica is an amazing place. I don't care how you look at it. This is an amazing, fun, exciting city. People say there's nothing to do. I have no idea what planet you were dropped off from.
Yeah.
But Utica has everything from the arts to sports to opportunities for youth. There are so many people who are providing these opportunities. I look at the United County Youth Borough. I look at all of these the sports activities throughout this summer. There's a lot for kids to do. Bill, I am literally waiting to get a phone call today from two families who cannot afford to send their kids to a basketball camp, and I offered to start collaborating with other people to start sponsoring some of these kids so they can play. So
That's
the
awesome.
argument that they're not opportunities, I think people need to be very strategic when they say these things because they
That's a
paint a
good point.
picture. They paint a picture about a place like Utica, which I'm really proud of, and I'm very fortunate to be among the circle of the stakeholders. And like yourself. We do have to talk about the news, but please make sure that we highlight people who are busting their behind and sacrifices and giving back. Don't forget about these people because we got to hear both sides to make things move forward.
Well, and that is the other part of this that I think needs to be focused on is what has been described as Utica in his post is a very small part of Utica. Albany had difficulty, violence over the weekend. There are other cities. A lot of this happens when people get out, they get rowdy, people get consuming alcohol, and people of all walks of life can find themselves getting into trouble. But the Utica described here is not the Utica that we're living in right now. We seem to be on a real rebound that we haven't felt in 50 or 60 years, maybe longer than that.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. The spirit in the Mohawk Valley, as you know, our area has been through a lot between the banks closing and but we are so resilient. We spend a lot of time focusing in on the few knuckleheads who decide, I'm not going to follow the rules.
Yeah.
I definitely understand, and we too, not just as basketball officials, but as people, we do have to talk about, to Mr. Wolf's point, and he didn't even have to say it, but the inference is there in terms of the undertone. When we have a society where consequences or lack thereof are a part of the issue, this is not going to go away. It's actually going to get worse.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the conversations, once again, thank you, Mr. Wolf, that we really do need to have in an open forum, more than one, with our stakeholders, with our police officers, with our legislators. What are we doing to turn back the hands of time to a time where you and I grew up? You did not disrespect an adult. You didn't talk back to a teacher. You held doors open for people. You said thank you for your service. Turning back the clock to, bullying wasn't a thing when you and I grew up. We talked smack to each other. We had some fun. But you knew where the lines were, and you didn't cross those lines, not just out of fear, because you knew that you were representing your family when you were out there. When you have situations where not everybody wants to follow the rules, we have a place for you. It's called the United County Jail, and we can put you on timeout, and hopefully you learn valuable lessons. But until we have more situations where people have a place to go, not just be put on timeout, but to have programs where people are taught things like civility and given opportunities to when they come out of these settings to make a contribution to society. I disagree that people do not have these opportunities. We are spoiled in Oneida County. Our leadership is second to none. They are proactive. I talked to, and I know the sheriff is one of my closest friends, and there's a reason for that. We talk about these things. We talk about how to make a difference in the lives of people who are incarcerated. We talk about how do we continue to support our law enforcement when they are put in situations where people have the audacity to approach them and say, I am not going to follow the rules, and I'm going to prevent you from doing your work. These are serious conversations. There has to be repercussions, and the community needs to get involved versus standing on the sidelines to protect, to honor, and to support law enforcement and EMS. From my perspective, this is what is missing.
Yeah. Very well said. And by the way, I was talking earlier. We were at the Mets-Yankees game on Saturday, and my mom and dad were with us, and behind us was these are business people, the most vulgar, insane, drunk, out of control business people that screamed at the top of their lungs the entire game. And at one point, I wanted to reach around and just say, you have like years ago, everyone would have looked at them and said enough, but today we just kind of tolerate it, and it does show you that it is not exclusive to class. It's not exclusive to the amount of money that you make, because they had to be able to afford those really good seats to go to that game, and they were not very well behaved. Let's just say that. So it can happen and does happen everywhere, and it is what it is, I guess. But I think you're right. There is so much opportunity here that can be had. I think we can't overlook that.
No, and I will also add, I officiate everywhere across Central New York. Yeah, I've had games. I'm not going to name the towns, but more affluent schools versus schools that may be less affluent, and there's videos to support what I say. It doesn't matter where people come from. People are out of control.
Yeah.
They're out of control for a couple reasons. First of all, and people can take this the way they want. From the highest forms of our government, we are being shown that castigation and inappropriate language is okay. And when we allow that, when parents and kids are seeing that, and then they go to sporting events and they speak and they say things and that are just across the line, this is what they're being shown, that, you know what, this is okay. Yeah. Other people are doing it, and there are no consequences. You better not do anything to me.
Right. As always, Dr. Mark Montgomery, we appreciate it. I know you're on vacation.
Right. He's absolutely
right. You
right.
were on vacation, and you took the time here, and we do appreciate the time.
I appreciate you all. Thank you for bringing everything to light. Thanks for bringing both sides, and thanks for being you, my friend. It's always a pleasure.
Great talking with you. Thanks so much. We'll talk again.
It gets back. Gets to the question that Lance and Lee asked as we were leading into that segment. Isn't it something in Utica? And it's not. You do see it. Unfortunately,
it is not.
Everywhere.
If you
it's
look
not
at the
exclusive to Utica.
If you look at the news today, this not the Little League thing per se, but what happened on the streets, it was a bad weekend in Albany too. So it happens everywhere. Syracuse has had some real rough couple of years with violence in the streets. So it happens everywhere. However, maybe what he did, Officer Wolf. Maybe what he did was open up a dialogue that's a good thing. That can be a good thing. People talking.
And Bill, I thought your point was right on the head. He's comparing a community where it's typically a vacation community. People are going away for the weekend.
You can't compare the two.
To enjoy July 4th.
Yeah. I mean, John Raspani might have actually been there. It's possible. He may have been.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
I just haven't paid attention, so I just say allegedly.
Allegedly. That's good. I do. Whenever I sign anything, per attorney approval, I always put that at the bottom of every signature. Because you never know.
Then I got to read it now. I go,
that's
geez.
Right. Darn it all.
So one more thing before we move on from this. Those who were accosting the EMS individuals who were trying to save a life
should be beaten.
Arrested and charged to the minimum?
Yeah.
Were they?
I know. Well,
I know the cops were involved in
I think
scuffles as well.
They were overwhelmed, and we'll talk tomorrow. We'll talk to try to bring UPD in on this as well. But I think they were very much overwhelmed. This was bad.
Yeah.
And it was a very dangerous situation. And one of the officers was injured and had to be treated at Wynn Hospital. So, all right, Davey, what are we doing for Hobica's free money question of the day today? What kind of money are we looking at?
$150.
$150, and you're looking for caller number what right now?
6.
6th caller right now for $150. We'll give you a chance to win that. Coming right up, caller number what?
6.
315-736-0186 right now at WIBX.
Another satisfied customer of the Good Feet store is Wendy.
Since wearing my arch supports from the Good Feet store, my back pain is gone and my feet don't hurt as much. And as I look into the future without pain, I see myself being even more adventurous, joyful, and full of possibility.
Come to the Good Feet store today for your free fitting and test walk. We're in your neighborhood. Find the location nearest you and book your appointment at goodfeet.com. Good Feet arch supports are HSA and FSA eligible. Discover your options at the Good Feet store.
Hi folks, this is Rob Hilton. Your family is your greatest treasure. Is your estate plan ready to protect them when it matters most? At Hilton Estate and Elder Law, we understand the importance of getting it right. That's why we offer a free review of your current plan. Together we'll assess it and provide honest feedback to ensure it truly works. No cost, no obligation, just confidence and peace of mind. Let's prepare for the future together. Schedule a free review today.
Hilton, you know the name, they know the law.
Here's the latest from the WIBX newsroom. I'm Doug Callan. Police in Utica are coming off a weekend of violence over the 4th of July weekend after a 39-year-old male was shot and killed in the area of James Street and Howard Avenue on Saturday night at around 10:30 after reports of gunshots. Another victim treated at Wynn Hospital for a gunshot wound to the leg. Police say the crowd at the scene actually prevented medical crews from assisting the victims at the scene. One police officer was injured during the violence. Treated at Wynn Hospital, police are continuing to investigate. A child hit by a car in Sylvan Beach receiving non-life-threatening injuries. According to police, the boy was crossing the street at around 9:30 when he was struck by a 56-year-old New Hartford woman, Suzanne Lefebvre, who immediately stopped and called 911. She was ticketed for not yielding to a pedestrian and a crosswalk. People across the area are going to have to deal with yet another day of high temperatures. The Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Services say extreme heat will impact individuals living here in the region. The heat index in some of the spots could reach 101 degrees. A 2-alarm fire in Rome over the weekend on Saturday night on Sam Street. Everyone was able to get out of the 2-family residence safely. Several cats and dogs were also rescued. The Red Cross is assisting the displaced residents. After a couple of weeks of increases, the pain of the pump is easing a bit in central New York. AAA says the average cost for a gallon of regular fuel right now is $3.13. That's down 2 cents from this time last week, but it's also 8 cents more than what motorists were paying at this point last month. The state average currently is at $3.19. Nationally, it's $3.14. I'm Doug Callan. That is the latest from WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM.
Heat advisory 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. today. Mix of clouds and sunshine and hot today. Scattered late afternoon and evening showers and storms. Highs low 90s. Heat index middle to upper 90s. Upper 60s tonight. More clouds and sunshine Tuesday. Cooler. Slight chance of showers low 80s. Partly sunny mid 80s Wednesday. I'm meteorologist Ken Boone from the Weather Channel at WIBX 950 AM and 92.3 FM.
We are at 75 with partly cloudy skies. Plenty of sunshine. Manansky, are you umping today?
I am.
75 now. We're definitely going to 90. We'll come right back with our free money question. And attorney John Raspani is next on WIBX.
BME Company Business Machines and Equipment has been delivering office solutions for businesses in upstate New York for over 30 years. Their success comes from finding the right document management strategies and software solutions for streamlining workflows. Simply put, BME provides fast, reliable service at the best value to keep your business running smoothly. Through BME's strategic partnership with Hummel's Office Plus, they distribute supplies for just about every machine in your office at a great price. BME welcomes the opportunity to serve your business, selling, leasing, and service in Canon and Kyocera devices, as well as FP mailing solutions. An important part of BME's culture is supporting the communities they're fortunate to work in, and BME recognizes that support is one reason for their success. The future of business in BME's area is encouraging, and the company is grateful to be a part of that growth. Call BME Company at 315-574-8200 or visit BMEcompany.com. BME Company Office Solutions. Made simple.
Nurses at Oneida Health Hospital always advocate for our patients and work hard to provide the best care for them. Now we're fighting to make sure that hospital executives put patients over profits and properly staff their hospital. Nurses are demanding a fair contract to ensure that we can continue to provide the safe, quality patient care our community deserves. Learn more and take action at www.nisnot.org/Oneida. Paid for by the New York State Nurses Association.
Clearing out your home or commercial building, John's Cleanouts and Property Preservation will handle it for you. We handle residential or any size commercial property, before and after estate sale cleanouts or any junk removal service. John's Cleanouts and Property Preservation is a 5-star rated and background checked business, providing service you can count on, and we're fully insured in the industry. Call John's Cleanouts and Property Preservation today and take the stress out of your mess.
Celebrating 100 years. This is Keeler. WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM. Now back to the Keeler Show.
Okay. 7:45, and we're ready to give somebody a chance at winning Hobica's free money question of the day. Today it is worth $150, and the Hobica Law Firm for all of your legal needs. 315-724-1600 is the number to call. On the line right now is Bill in Stittville. Hello, William. Good morning.
Good morning.
Are you ready to go?
I'm ready.
All right, I have a feeling this is going to be an easy one, and you're going to nail it, and you're going to walk away with $150. I hope I am correct. You'll have 7 seconds to answer, and here is your question. Ozzy Osbourne performed with Black Sabbath over the weekend, playing with this lead guitarist. Who was the lead guitarist? Ready, go. Oh, you're close.
Don't know.
I guess I don't have the setup to play here, but Zakk Wylde is who he played with over the weekend, his Black Sabbath lead guitarist, Zakk Wylde. It sounds like you're a big heavy metal fan.
Well, I know Ozzy, but I don't know the guitarist.
Yeah, I wouldn't have known that either, I guess. I will give you the $25 food and fun card. It's a $25 card good at Babes and Aquavino and Taylor and the Cook and the Odd and Nexus. Stand by. Davey's going to hook you up.
Thank you.
All right, William. Thanks so much. Enjoy your day today. In studio right now is attorney John Raspani. And, John, I do want to say, if I hit this button, hold on, maybe I can do it. If I hit this button, you come on TV. Because he's a good-looking guy.
Now I'm nervous now.
Now
I got like 50 or 70but people watching me and listening.
It's terrible.
Gosh.
It's bad. You're on.
What kind of an insult is that?
I'm trying to be funny. I'm on the radio here.
Up from the 5 that we that we care so much about.
He's seen juries with a bigger audience than this.
Yeah, that's true. It's a very good point. All right. So, and for those who don't know, you are a long-time radio. What was you were on the Frog at one point, right?
Yeah, Hop Along.
Hop Along.
Yep. I was on another show the other day. I won't name the show.
Okay, good.
But it was hosted by, never mind. I won't mention. But I went on the show.
Yes.
And then afterwards, my dad listened.
Yeah.
And he said, geez, you didn't sound country. I said, well, Dad, I wasn't playing, Hop Along for Big Frog 104.
Right.
I was playing lawyer.
That's right.
He seemed really disappointed about it. Well, I'm not Hop Along anymore. I'm never going to be Hop Along again.
Those are the good days.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. We go back 30 years.
We do on Rock 107.
Yeah. May I just play DJ for a second?
Please.
Yes.
Rock 107, Central New York's only hit music station with Keeler in the morning. 7 hits in a row every hour. How we do it, I don't know, but we're doing it on Rock 107.
That was really good.
You know what?
Rock 107.
I remember the jingle.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, to this day in my car, when I'm driving around, I hear songs. I post them, which we know.
And for those who don't know, the post is every song has an instrumental before the vocals begin.
Yes.
And I might even be able to do this for you. Before we're done, I'll have you put on the headphones and see if you can post a couple songs.
That'd be a lot of fun.
Would you like to do that?
I still have it in me.
It's
still in my blood.
So posting is you talk right up to the point where the vocals come in, and then when you post it, you throw the headphones down, and you've just done it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what's great is...
Boy, no wonder they went to AI.
That is true.
You know what's great is, Yeah, years ago when I would do that in my car, people look over at you like you're crazy.
Yeah.
Now they just think I'm on the phone. So
That's right.
Cool.
That is true. Just keep the little piece in your ear. You'll be just fine. So, all right. You're on today to talk about Rome woman identified by authorities as having left her dog to die in a closet. Taylor Uvani. Let's talk about this case.
Yeah.
So tell me, so recently sentenced, and you feel this is a fair sentence?
I do. I think that the district attorney's office does as well. They come in looking for justice for the victim, in this case, the dog, Lola.
Yeah.
And they represent the people. And I came in seeking justice for my client. And I think we both walked away with that. These cases are tough because
animals.
You got it.
Oh, boy.
And I knew when I accepted this case, I would be dealing with public outcry and opposition because nobody wants to see harm come to an animal, an innocent animal, defenseless. But I think we achieved justice in this case. Now, there's going to be numbers of people in the community that think she should have went to state prison, that sort of thing. But as I often say, Bill, I never defend the crime. I defend the person.
Yeah.
How do I do that? I look at the facts of the case, identify issues and circumstances. In this case, you said, and the media has been saying throughout the whole case, that she locked her dog in a closet. There was no door to the closet to lock. And that's a very important piece. And I think that caused a lot of people a lot of anger.
She was sentenced to 3 years probation.
Yeah, this is what
I think people are, and I think what you're hearing from people is, I can't believe she got off so easy. But there's so much more to every case, right?
True story. So she's charged with a felony. And the distinction between a felony and the misdemeanor is the felony is the pain over a period of time that you cause the animal. So the district attorney was not backing off on this felony plea. I didn't want that. I didn't think that it was consistent with the facts. And a felony will ruin someone's life. Put that on the application moving forward.
Yeah.
So my thinking is, how could we achieve a just result? Because she was willing to accept responsibility for failing to get adequate medical attention for Lola. So I finally said, how about this? We know she was dealing with a lot of mental health issues at the time, mental turmoil, emotional turmoil. She was evaluated by the treatment court, mental health treatment court. She pled guilty to the felony, with the understanding that if she completed mental health treatment court, she could come back, withdraw that plea, enter a plea to a misdemeanor, and get 3 years probation. Now, had she not done that, that felony would have stayed.
With her. Yeah.
And the sentence of potential probation and incarceration sentence. So she took the initiative. She did those things, all while maintaining full-time employment. And mental health court is not easy. It's not just going to see a doctor. You got to go to court every week. There's a lot of oversight.
Yeah.
Many people don't make it. So she had to demonstrate herself to achieve that result.
And she did.
She did, yeah.
So I do have to say, in some cases, I feel like some people want to be tougher on a person that is, quote, abused an animal versus a child, or an adult, or violence. But animals, for some people, it is crossing a very, very big line. So
it's not funny, but it's true. If there's a double homicide, the district attorney's office may get a few phone calls throughout the course of the day.
This is true.
But
you work in the DA's office.
And I did. Harm to an animal, that phone's ringing all day long.
Yeah.
And you have crowds outside the court.
I know.
You know, so there is a big distinction. I think much having to do with my sister, Lisa. She has 5 dogs. She rescues dogs. When I got this case, she called me up and said, Johnny, I can't believe you took this case. And she was angry with me.
Yeah.
And I said, Lisa, I got to remind you again, I never personalize it.
Yeah.
I look at the case and what I can do based upon the facts and circumstances. And I get to know the person, the defendant.
Yeah.
I get to meet that person. I talk with their family. I see a whole different side of it. And a lot of times as a defense attorney, I feel like I'm completing the picture. In this case, there was more to know about Taylor and what was going on in her life. And that important error, really, that the dog was never locked in a closet.
It's almost as if maybe not only was she not giving the proper treatment to the animal, but she wasn't giving it to herself, which actually caused the problem.
True statement.
All right.
And I often tell people, I says, if you can't be good to yourself,
you're
not going to be good to your family, your children, or a pet who is family.
Right.
And I've seen that, and I know it.
Yeah.
And so I understand it.
Manaski, did you have something?
What? How did the dog ultimately? It was determined the dog had died. How?
We don't know.
You earlier referred to seeking some type of a treatment for the animal, that she never sought the treatment or care for the dog. Was this a case of starvation, or was there a medical issue that the dog needed some care that it did not get?
It was clear that the apartment had a lot of fleas, and this dog was covered in fleas, and this dog should have went and seen a doctor and a veterinarian. That should have happened, and she acknowledges that. But she never starved the dog. She routinely fed the dog. But those are the circumstances.
And if the house was filled, she was suffering from those very same fleas as well, because they bite humans too.
Not a good scenario. Very awful scenario.
So where did it come from that this dog was locked in a closet and left to die?
I don't know. I don't. That was published, aired from the onset of the case, that this dog was locked in the closet. And of course, when I get the case, I get entitled to all the discovery. I'm looking through everything. I'm like, hold on, there's no door to this closet. This needs to be corrected. So that was an important piece. But you know what? She owned up to her responsibility early on. But she always said, but I never starved Lola. I'd never do that. So I said, well, then we have to work toward that end goal.
Yeah. And I have to say that is part of the reason why it's so difficult. We all complain. Why is it so hard to adopt an animal? You go to Stephen Swan or wherever it is that you go, they want background information. They want, is it going to the right place?
I'm glad for that.
Yeah, it should be. All right.
So as part of this agreement, she's not allowed to own an animal in the future.
That's correct. Yep, that's the other consequence of it.
So there never was a door on the closet. No. How do we get to these stories?
No, you got me on that one.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you, it's people like us who report the news. Don't know what we're talking about. We don't know what we're talking about. All right. So you would say a positive outcome to this? I
believe so. Again, I think that both the district attorney's office and I can walk out and say we achieved justice. It's not always about getting a particular conviction. It's about what's really just, and we can always disagree on what that is. Yeah. And I get it, and I'm fine with that. Yeah. But I do believe we achieved that here.
All right, John Rispani, we appreciate it. Rispani Law Firm.
Yes.
Want to put those headphones on?
Do I got to plug them in?
They should be
already plugged in.
They should be
I could have been wearing these the whole time.
They should be all ready for you.
Oh, wow.
Can you hear all right?
Jeez, I got more bass in my voice now.
All right,
this is Casey Kasem.
I was waiting for it. That's a really
so
good Casey,
It is so good.
Let me give you this one. Are you ready? So this is Girls Just Want to Have Fun, Cyndi Lauper. All right.
Now, in fairness, John does not have a clock. In a lot of cases, there'd be a countdown clock.
There would be, but once we get doing these things...
But he spun this song so many times.
You didn't even have to look at the clock.
All
right, here we go. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen, DJ John Rispani. Here we go. If I can get this to play. Here it is.
Rock 107, Central New York's only hit music station. I'm John Rispani. 7:10 this morning, 72 degrees, getting up to about 85. What happened to the song?
I don't know. It stopped.
Don't forget Keeler in the morning every weekday. Your chance to have fun, laugh, win money. All right here on Rock 107.
That's really good. That was really good.
You try to trip me up too. I turn the music down and bring it back up again.
I thought he was going to blow it.
For some reason, I keep getting an error that says you don't have Apple Music. I don't know why you're getting them, but that was really well done.
Thanks.
Yeah,
thank you.
It just can't. You can take, what is it saying? You can take somebody away from the DJ. You can't take the DJ out of you.
True story. I remember when I was a kid, I had my cassette player, and I had the turntable right next to each other.
Yeah.
And I played DJ. My mother came in the room screaming at me. You're blasting music. You're talking to yourself. I'm playing DJ. I don't care. Turn it down. That was crazy. But it's from a child. I always wanted to be a DJ.
I did too.
I used to mimic the DJs and
I did.
Casey Kasem.
How many stories are there? I grew up. I wanted to be a DJ. Became a lawyer.
That's right.
How often does that happen?
I got to tell you, I grew up wanting to be a DJ, wanting to be in radio and television. My parents were very disappointed. They thought I was going to repair radios and televisions. No. And then I decided in my senior year in high school I was going to be an attorney. And then I dug in, and the guidance counselor was like, there's a lot of reading and a lot of book work. So I went into radio and television.
He said, I don't need to argue the law. I can just argue.
That's right. That's right. Put me on the radio. I'll argue with all of them. So. All right, good stuff, though, and a great outcome to this story. Not everybody's going to love it.
Of course not. I had somebody leave a message that only once, so I'm happy for that, but, criticizing the outcome and so on. But it happens.
It happens. John Respani, great
Pleasure.
job.
Thank you.
If you're looking for part-time work, I know we're hiring.
I thought it was all computers now. I don't know.
Well, it is a little bit like that. We have news coming up next, top of the hour on WIBX.
From the Stanley Theater Studio, WIBX Utica, Rome, WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM, celebrating 100 years.
More flash flooding in the forecast. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News, and more rain today could slow down rescue and recovery efforts in central Texas, where at least 82 deaths are confirmed in flash floods that hit early Friday. A statement from the Girls Christian Summer Camp, Camp Mystic, now says 27 campers and counselors died there.
Some of these girls, as young as 7 years old, were fast asleep in their cabins right near the river when this happened, and these devastating flash floods just swept through. The Guadalupe River surged 26 feet in just 45 minutes, according to officials.
Fox's Brooke Taylor. Governor Greg Abbott says 41 people in all are unaccounted for. Israel's prime minister is due back at the White House this evening.
For the first time since U.S. airstrikes on Iran's nuclear facilities and an end to a 2-week war between Israel and Iran, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will meet face-to-face with President Trump. President Trump and U.S. negotiators are hopeful they can secure a 60-day ceasefire in Gaza, a deal that officials say would require Hamas to release at least 10 living hostages and the bodies of 18 dead hostages. It's believed 20 hostages in Gaza are still alive.
Fox's Jared Halpern. Israel's military launched airstrikes targeting ports and facilities held by Houthi rebels in Yemen. President Trump says letters go out today announcing tariff rates and/or deals with America's trading partners. The Justice Department says there's no evidence Jeffrey Epstein was murdered or had a client list used to blackmail people.
The newly released memo obtained by Axios claims enhanced video released by intel agencies from Epstein's jail cell shows no one entered the cell area where he was being kept in Lower Manhattan the night he died back in August of 2019. The findings contradict theories long pushed by some who have accused the government of a potential cover-up to protect the powerful, including potentially government officials, celebrities, and business leaders.
That's Fox's Ted Linder. America's listening to Fox News.
Are you living with dry AMD? If so, you could be on the road to geographic atrophy, or GA, a condition that leads to retinal cell death and permanent vision loss. But with Izervay, you can
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay slows GA progression by targeting a key source of retinal cell death, which may help preserve your vision longer. Izervay, or Avastin Captid Pagel, is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
There's a wreath laying and a memorial service in London and a message from King Charles condemning senseless acts of evil 20 years ago.
7/7 is an infamous date in British history. On this day in 2005, 4 suicide bombers struck during London's morning rush hour. Explosions hit 3 London Underground trains and one of the city's iconic red double-decker buses. Apart from the bombers, 52 people of 18 different nationalities were killed. The attackers were Islamist extremists, but one thing that shocked Britain was that this terror was homegrown. 3 bombers born in England, 1 in Jamaica. 2 of them were still in their teens. A memorial to the victims stands in London's Hyde Park. In London, Jonathan Savage, Fox News.
Tesla stock is down in pre-market trading after Elon Musk says he'll start a new America First political party.
We can have fun with it, but I think it's ridiculous.
President Trump's reaction before boarding Air Force One after a weekend stay in New Jersey. NASCAR on the streets of Chicago.
While NASCAR driver Shane Van Gisbergen is from New Zealand, he might want to think about a move over to the Windy City, especially after Sunday's Cup Series Chicago street race on TNT Sports.
Shane Van Gisbergen does own the streets of Chicago. He delivers once again.
While Michael McDowell led for the first 31 laps, a stuck throttle forced him to the garage, opening the door for Van Gisbergen. The race has been run just 3 times in NASCAR Cup Series history, and SVG has now won it twice. The first and the most recent. Even more impressive, it caps off a perfect full weekend sweep. Not only did he win both the Cup Series and the Xfinity Series races, but he also won the pole in both of them to qualify first. Greg Thompson, Fox News.
Jurassic World Rebirth pulls in $318 million in ticket sales worldwide, Universal Pictures says, in its first 5 days in theaters. I'm Chris Foster. This is Fox News.
Here's the latest from the WIBX newsroom. I'm Doug Callan. Police in Utica are coming off a weekend of violence over the 4th of July weekend after a 39-year-old male was shot and killed in the area of James Street and Howard Avenue on Saturday night at around 10:30 after reports of gunshots. Another victim treated at Wynn Hospital for a gunshot wound to the leg. Police say the crowd at the scene actually prevented medical crews from assisting the victims at the scene. One police officer was injured during the violence. Treated at Wynn Hospital, police are continuing to investigate. A child hit by a car in Sylvan Beach receiving non-life-threatening injuries. According to police, the boy was crossing the street at around 9:30 when he was struck by a 56-year-old New Hartford woman, Suzanne Lefebvre, who immediately stopped and called 911. She was ticketed for not yielding to a pedestrian and a crosswalk. People across the area are going to have to deal with yet another day of high temperatures. The Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Services say extreme heat will impact individuals living here in the region. The heat index in some of the spots could reach 101 degrees. A 2-alarm fire in Rome over the weekend on Saturday night on Sam Street. Everyone was able to get out of the 2-family residence safely. Several cats and dogs were also rescued. The Red Cross is assisting the displaced residents. After a couple of weeks of increases, the pain of the pump is easing a bit in central New York. AAA says the average cost for a gallon of regular fuel right now is $3.13. That's down 2 cents from this time last week, but it's also 8 cents more than what motorists were paying at this point last month. The state average currently is at $3.19. Nationally, it's $3.14. In sports, the Yankees salvaged the 3rd game of the Subway Series with the Mets on Sunday with a 6-4 win. Both teams are off tonight. Baltimore beat Atlanta 2-1. The Blue Jays over the Dodgers. Detroit beat Cleveland. And Tampa Bay 7-5 over the Twins. In the National League, the Phillies beat the Reds 3-1. Milwaukee 3-1 over the Marlins. Chicago 11-0 over St. Louis. One of the best young wide receivers in the country will be starting his college career with Syracuse. Calvin Russell announced his commitment to the Orange over the weekend and chose SU over Oregon, Florida State, and Michigan. Russell says he was impressed by Syracuse head coach Fran Brown. The Nationals shook up the organization after a Sunday loss. The team fired general manager Mike Rizzo and manager Dave Martinez after a 37-53 start to the year. Brian Campbell celebrating another victory after winning the John Deere Classic at the TPC Deere Run. I'm Doug Callan. That is the latest from WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM.
Heat advisory 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. today. Mix of clouds and sunshine and hot today. Scattered late afternoon and evening showers and storms. Highs low 90s. Heat index middle to upper 90s. Upper 60s tonight. More clouds and sunshine Tuesday. Cooler. Slight chance of showers low 80s. Partly sunny mid 80s Wednesday. I'm meteorologist Ken Boone from the Weather Channel on WIBX 950 AM and 92.3 FM.
Currently, we have plenty of sunshine, blue skies, and we are at, 77.
I wish that was the high for the day.
77, although I do think there's a day this week where we're gonna get like 78, 79 degrees is the high. That'll be nice and
Thursday?
pleasant.
Looks like Thursday.
Might be. Whatever.
Maybe tomorrow, too.
I believe it might be tomorrow. Revive Softwave Therapy with Dr. Timothy Del Medico. If you're struggling with pain, this can help. It's Revive Softwave Therapy. And there's a new $99 new patient special, introductory discovery session that includes a consultation with one of our doctors, one of their doctors, Softwave Therapy. You don't want our doctors. Ooh, baby. Softwave Therapy treatment, a treatment recovery plan, and assessment. This does repair and regenerate tissue. It stimulates and activates stem cells and blood supply. It could change your world. Call 315-725-8427 for Revive Softwave Therapy with Dr. Timothy Del Medico. Brand Construction for all of your concrete and masonry needs. Call 315-894-3481. Stairways and cellarway, entrances, basement floors, garage floors. If it's masonry work, Brank has you covered. Call 315-894-3481. They'll get the job done right on time, and for the right price. And let me also tell you about GPO Federal Credit Union. There to help you with that possible home improvement project or help you plant the seed for a stronger financial future. If you're thinking about buying a vehicle, if you know someone who's thinking about buying their first car, no cosigner needed, no problem with GPO. Call them today. Their home lending team is also there to help, whether you're looking to upgrade or downsize or a first-time buyer. Then their Save and Boost credit loan helps you do both, increase your credit, improve your credit, and help you with on-time payments. It is a big help. GPO offering free credit reviews as well at all branch locations. Call them today or visit their office. Go to gpofcu.com for full details. Coming up, we'll speak with Don Levy. He's from Siena College. They have a new poll out. Where is Hochul in this election next year? How about Elise Stefanik for governor? We'll give you the numbers where they stand right now, next at WIBX.
Scott and Jill here from New York Sash. Business is booming, and we need more hands on deck.
That's right. We're looking for experienced installers, windows, siding, baths. If you know your way around a job site, we want to hear from you.
At New York Sash, we take pride in every project we complete because quality craftsmanship is what we're known for, and that's all thanks to our incredible team.
And when you're part of our team, you're family. That means great pay, steady year-round work, and a company that treats you right.
We offer serious perks like company-provided tools, uniforms, continuing education, paid time off, and 401k.
And that's on top of health benefits, advancement opportunities, and a supportive environment where you and your skills are valued.
Ready to take your career to the next level? Stop in or apply online at newyorksash.com/jobs.
Our New York Sash team has over 750 five-star reviews. It's more than a job. It's a career you can be proud of. Join the installation team at New York Sash.
Every once in a while, something that sounds too good to be true is actually in fact true. How would you like up to $2,000 of free windows? When I say $2,000 of free windows, I mean $2,000 of free windows. No gimmicks or games. You don't have to buy $2,000 to get $2,000 free. You just get $2,000 of free windows through Patriot Home Solutions and NYSERDA. Of course, some restrictions apply, but none of the restrictions are income-based. And you don't have to sit through a long, drawn-out sales presentation. Give Patriot a call at 315-401-0440, and they can quickly tell you over the phone if you qualify or how you can get qualified. That's 315-401-0440. These aren't any windows. They're high-quality, custom-fitted windows designed to save energy and keep the cold air out all winter. Your window solution is Patriot Home Solutions. Online at patriothomesolutions.com.
We all like convenience, right? ATMs, takeout food, drive-through pharmacies. Now, Bremer's is making it just as convenient to enjoy your favorite wines and spirits with Bremer's to go. It's simple. Place your order at bremerswineandliquor.com or save $5 on your first order with our mobile app. Order during store hours for pickup within an hour. Hey, you can even call us when you get to the store and we'll bring your order right out and load it in the car for you. Now that's convenience. Maybe you're planning a party. Maybe you want to stock up on your favorite wines, or you just want to save time when you're out and about. Whatever the reason, at Bremer's, we're all about incredible customer service. So when you're on the go, We are too. Order at bremerswineandliquor.com or save $5 with our mobile app. Order during store hours for pickup within an hour. It's Bremer's to go, available 7 days a week from Bremer's Wine and Liquor on Commercial Drive in New Hartford.
Hi, this is Ray Durso of the Genesis Group. If you're interested in keeping up with events and news in the Mohawk Valley region, I have the show for you. It's called This Week in the Mohawk Valley, and it airs every Sunday on WIBX. Join us as we talk with area business leaders, elected officials, law enforcement, educators, and more. Don't miss This Week in the Mohawk Valley every Sunday at 9 a.m. on WIBX 950 a.m. 92.3 FM.
WIBX. This is Keeler. WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM. Now back to the Keeler Show.
Well, listen, it's a year away, but a lot of people talking about what's going to be happening with Kathy Hochul. And does one of the Republican candidates, including Elise Stefanik, have a shot at beating her? Your thoughts before you see the numbers.
I don't think so.
It's
don't see it.
Hard in New York, isn't it?
It is. And if you look at the mayoral race there, I think they went further left than de Blasio or, I mean, Cuomo being in the race, just by name recognition, you would think he would probably be the favorite. Fortunately, I guess if there's a silver lining, people said, no, we had enough of your garbage. But I don't know. I mean, this guy's talking about I'm going to say his name wrong. Mamdani? Am I saying that right?
Yeah. Well, it depends on who's saying it. They pronounce it differently every time. I think on purpose, to be honest.
He's talking about basically government-run grocery stores?
Apparently, it's something he says is already being done in Florida. I think I read. I don't know where this is being done, but okay, it wouldn't be all grocery stores. It would be there would be a line of government. I don't know, like you used to get government cheese instead of handing it out. You'd go to their government grocery store. I don't know enough about it, but it's. I bet it flies in New York, right? It flies in the city, and that's all that matters for him right now. On the line is the expert, Dr. Don Levy, is with the Siena College Research Institute. Don, good morning. Thanks so much for coming on.
Absolutely. Great to be with you.
So my belief, I'm with Manaski on this. I think the state this is not, and I'd like your expert opinion. I don't believe this is the Pataki state like it used to be. When Pataki was elected, the makeup of New York was much, much different. Do you agree with that?
Well, at this point in time, with there being 2 Democrats for every 1 Republican in the state of New York, on paper, it looks like a tall task for any Republican to challenge. That said, you'll remember that in recent history, we had former Congressman, now Secretary Lee Zeldin, coming within 6.5 points of Kathy Hochul.
Yeah.
So you're hard-pressed to say it's impossible. At this point in time, on one question that we ask consistently, that we call it the generic reelect question. Would you vote for Kathy Hochul or would you prefer someone else? So when we don't name someone else in that question, 55% of New Yorkers say they prefer someone else, only 37% Governor Hochul. So that question points to there being a potential challenge to the governor. However, when we pit Governor Hochul against 3 leading Republicans, Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, Congressman Mike Lawler, and County Executive Bruce Blakeman, in each case, at this point in time, Hochul is up by between 20 and 25 points over any of those 3 Republican challengers.
Wow.
You talk about how close Zeldin was within 6.5 points. Hochul is not a dominant personality. I can't think of any policies that she's championed where you can say she solved an issue, and New Yorkers on both sides went, I'm glad somebody finally addressed this. The other thing is there's been a fair amount of this recent budget issue where she did make some adjustments to bail reform. I guess you could put that in there. But there have been criticism of her policies, I think, on both sides of the aisle. So the fact that he only, as a strong candidate, apparently, Zeldin only getting within 6.5 points, I don't think there's any chance a Republican wins that seat next year anyway.
point, I mean, we track, of course, how New Yorkers feel, what's their favorability, what's their impression of her job approval. You know, interestingly, Kathy Hochul has never, not once, topped 50% in favorability during the entire time that she has been governor of the state of New York. Right now, only 42% have a favorable view, 47% an unfavorable view. She does a little bit better on job approval, where she hits exactly 50% that approve the job that she's doing. Back to the horse race for a second. You know, what we did is we took a look at that group of people who said, I want someone else. And you'd say, oh, well, what happens to those people? Of those 55% who say someone else, only about 40% of those, so that would be about 22% of all New Yorkers, choose one of the Republican candidates. 15% say they'd retreat back to Hochul, and about 40% of the I want someone else people say, I don't know who I would vote for. So they may or may not even be voters.
The other part of this is all before the onslaught of television commercials that are coming. And it's going to be interesting because Lawler is more of a moderate, and Stefanik, it'll be interesting to see where she is, but she can totally be tied to Donald Trump. So that could be an interesting, I mean, if they have a primary, it could be an ugly primary on the Republican side.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, step one, I mean, we call this the way too early look, but really step one is the primaries.
Yeah.
Bruce Blakeman is largely unknown. 67% of New Yorkers don't know who he is. You know, Nassau County exec, not well known, even in New York City, especially upstate. But Stefanik and Lawler, more well known. Both seem to have been somewhat actively campaigning now for some time. And I think you're right. The two of those will engage in a pretty competitive race, with Lawler tracking a little bit more to the center, Stefanik, you know, holding the support of Donald Trump. So we'll see how they turn out. At this point, when we did run a primary and we had all three of them, Stefanik is up big. She's up 17 points over Lawler, 28 points over Blakeman in a three-way. And you'd have to believe that if Blakeman were to drop out, that many of his votes might very well migrate over to Stefanik. So Stefanik appears to be ahead, again, way too early in a Republican primary.
Yeah. Did you do any polling on or will it not happen? I think there may be a Democratic challenger to Kathy Hochul.
We did take a look there. And at the time of the poll, it was two challengers, Antonio Delgado, you know, Lieutenant Governor, and Congressman Richie Torres. Torres has subsequently said that he probably won't run, which I think is I'm out. But Hochul was up by 37 points over Delgado, 39 points over Torres. And Delgado, despite having been lieutenant governor, which, you know, it's sort of a parlor game, right? Name the great lieutenant governors of the state of New York. Largely unknown. 58% of New Yorkers don't know who he is. Delgado's got a tall hill to climb. I think at this point he's going to tack, of course, to the left. He's going to try to build on what was perceived as the success of Mamdani in New York and see whether he can replicate that in a Democratic primary. At this point, Hochul, obviously much more well-known and with a strong lead, especially amongst people who would vote in a Democratic primary.
Yeah. And then Manaske brought up policy, that he can't think of any policy. There really is policy that has been passed, and some of that oftentimes becomes very unpopular upstate in, you know, more Republican-controlled upstate, but very, very popular with Democrats.
Absolutely. I mean, right now there's a number of bills that have been passed that are sitting on the governor's desk. You know, things like state agencies being required to disclose when they use AI. The one that, you know, stands out a little bit, expanding the powers of the AG. The AG, a very controversial figure at this point. But by 65% New Yorkers are in favor of the governor signing into law the bill that would give the AG additional powers to sue businesses on behalf of consumers. A controversial bill is the medical aid in dying bill, which has now for about well, it's been pursued for about a decade. Each time we've polled, a small majority remains in favor of it. Right now, it's 54% in favor, 28% opposed. The governor is certainly being lobbied very hard right now in both directions, and is going to have to make a decision sometime soon as to whether she will or will not sign it. In terms of prison reform, there was a bill that passed that has overwhelming support. This is one that people, when they hear this one, they go, well, didn't we have this already? But the bill is to have more audio and visual surveillance in common areas in prisons. New Yorkers are in favor of that 76 to 10.
Okay, going to be interesting to see what all of this brings. And I would say if you live in New York, get ready for a deluge of television commercials.
Absolutely, no doubt. And we'll be tracking it every step of the way. And certainly we've got to watch what the economy does. We still have a state in which people are unhappy. People continue to say the state's moving in the wrong direction. So while Hochul has a lead, there's this underlying sentiment, especially in areas that are not completely democratic, upstate, for example, where they're saying, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a solution. So a marginally popular governor with a big early lead.
Were you surprised by the results in New York City?
Yes, we were surprised. I mean, we weren't polling that actively, but again, as you kind of put out in your lead, Andrew Cuomo ran a lackluster campaign, sort of an assume the victory campaign, and New York City Democrats said no, I've had enough, and there's still going to be a general there. It is not. It's likely that Mamdani will win. But it looks like Eric Adams is going to continue to campaign and see whether he can somehow eke out a victory there.
Yeah, going to be interesting to watch all of it. And we really appreciate the time, Don. Thank you so much.
Great to be with you.
Have a great day, Dr. Don Levy from Siena College Research Institute. Quick break, and I will talk with. I have a little quiz, a music quiz, because Jeff is up on his music.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll prove you wrong in just a couple of minutes.
There's a music birthday out there today. I'll explain and throw you a few questions coming right up here.
The 4th of July sale is on at Mattress Express. Save up to $1,350 with the largest selection in central New York. Take up to 5 years to pay with no money down for qualified buyers and no credit check payment plans. Hurry.
The Utica Stampede and Rodeo and Expo comes back to the Adirondack Bank Center. 2 days of rodeo fun with 8 different events, with over 30 of the best bull riders in the Northeast competing for large cash prizes. Get your tickets now at EmpireStateTix.com, in person at the Adirondack Bank Center box office, or over the phone by calling 315-790-9070. It's the Utica Stampede and Rodeo, presented by Don's Ford Clinton Tractor, and best enjoyed with Coors Banquet, the official beer of the rodeo.
Hi folks, this is Rob Hilton. Your family is your greatest treasure. Is your estate plan ready to protect them when it matters most? At Hilton Estate and Elder Law, we understand the importance of getting it right. That's why we offer a free review of your current plan. Together we'll assess it and provide honest feedback to ensure it truly works. No cost, no obligation, just confidence and peace of mind. Let's prepare for the future together. Schedule a free review today.
Hilton, you know the name, they know the law.
Don't miss Clinton Tractor Spring Sales Event. We're giving you the best deals of the season on all of our inventory. Thousands of used and new equipment in stock, all in one location. Get 0% financing on new Ferris commercial mowers, Massey Ferguson, and New Holland equipment. And trailers and used equipment as low as 5.49%. Restrictions apply. We're giving you the best deals of the season. It's Clinton Tractor Spring Sales Event.
We are the leader in service, Clinton Tractor.
ClintonTractor.net.
Okay, Manaski, I'll ask you this. Any pain when you walk? Yes. Any back pain? Have you ever experienced any back pain?
Yep.
The people at the Good Feet store could help. And it's a trusted team of arch support specialists. The pain you may be getting in your shoulders or your neck or your back could very well be happening from the feet in the way you walk. So the Good Feet store does a free, no obligation, personalized fitting. And you just walk in, 4630 Commercial Drive in New Hartford. And it's a 3-step system. It includes strengtheners, maintainers, and relaxers. 3 categories of arch supports with varying levels of strength and support that work together to improve and maintain your proper foot alignment by exercising, strengthening the muscles and the tendons and ligaments. But it starts with that free, no-obligation, personalized fitting, and you'll see with a test walk exactly where you're not walking properly. Call them today, 315-999-3910, where you're not walking properly, and that could be causing the pain. It's the Good Feet Store, 4630 Commercial Drive in New Hartford. And I do have one more thing that I think is extremely important, and it is about lead in homes. It's a huge, huge problem, especially in Utica. Here, you must get your kids tested for lead during the ages of 1 and 2, somewhere in that vicinity. Lead poisoning can harm a child's brain, nervous system, speech, hearing, learning, and behavior. Talk to your doctor or healthcare provider today for details. For help, if you're a landlord or maybe a homeowner or even a renter, there is help out there, up to $30,000 per unit to rid the place of the toxins of lead. If the house was built before 1978, there's a very good chance in the city of Utica you're dealing with a lead problem. Go to leadsafeutica.com or call 315-724-4197. It is Lead Safe Utica, leadfreemv.org. All right, whose birthday is today? He was the backbeat of the Beatles, none other than Ringo Starr, celebrating.
I would have got that right.
Ringo Starr is, I have some other questions for you, though. Ringo Starr is 85 years old today, and I got to tell you, he looks good for 85.
Yeah, he absolutely does.
And peace and love, peace and love. He always said, peace and love, peace and love. Don't send me anything to sign. I'm not going to sign it. I can't sign it. I'm done signing. If you send me something, I'm going to throw it away. You will not get it back. Don't send me peace and love, peace and love. I just don't sign anymore. Okay, that's Ringo at age 85. Here are some of his hits with the Beatles.
Singing a song called Boys Ringo! I've been told when I bought you take a trip.
Okay, it just stops playing for me. All right, here's some questions. Who is the oldest member of the Beatles? Is it John, Paul, George? I mean, if they all were alive today. John, Paul, George, or Ringo? Who was the oldest member of the Beatles?
I'm going to say Ringo.
It is Ringo at 85. I always thought he was the youngest, but he wasn't.
Peace and love, peace and love.
How many Beatles songs did Ringo sing lead vocals for? How many songs did Ringo sing lead vocals for the Beatles?
3.
The answer is 11.
Oh, okay.
Some of them being Octopus's Garden, Little Help from My Friends, Yellow Submarine, Boys, which you just heard a little bit of there. Beatles made 4 movies. Ringo only sang a song in one of them. Which one did he sing a song in? And I just mentioned it. It was Yellow Submarine.
Yellow Submarine.
Yeah. Now, this is an easy one. It's a 50-50 shot. True or false? True or false? Ringo got the other 3 Beatles to play on one of his solo albums. Is this true?
No.
It is true. Even though they didn't play on the same songs, Ringo got John, Paul, and George to all play on his 1973 album, Ringo. He couldn't get them to do it all together because that would have been the Beatles. That's right. But he did get them there.
I guess that's why I guessed no.
Also, his famous brother-in-law, who's another singer out there, Joe Walsh. Joe Walsh is married to Marjorie Bach. Former Bond girl, Barbara Bach, James Bond girl, is married to Ringo. So there they are. They are brother-in-laws. A little Beatles, Ringo Starr trivia for you. Quick break. Sheriff Rob Mashel coming up at WIBX.
Here's the latest from the WIBX newsroom. I'm Doug Callan. Police in Utica are coming off a weekend of violence over the 4th of July weekend after a 39-year-old male was shot and killed in the area of James Street and Howard Avenue on Saturday night at around 10:30 after reports of gunshots. Another victim treated at Wynn Hospital for a gunshot wound to the leg Police say the crowd at the scene actually prevented medical crews from assisting the victims at the scene. One police officer was injured during the violence, treated at Wynn Hospital. Police are continuing to investigate. A child hit by a car in Sylvan Beach receiving non-life-threatening injuries. According to police, the boy was crossing the street at around 9:30 when he was struck by a 56-year-old New Hartford woman, Suzanne Lefebvre, who immediately stopped and called 911. She was ticketed for not yielding to a pedestrian and a crosswalk. People across the area are going to have to deal with yet another day of high temperatures. The Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Services say extreme heat will impact individuals living here in the region. The heat index in some of the spots could reach 101 degrees. A 2-alarm fire in Rome over the weekend on Saturday night on Sam Street. Everyone was able to get out of the 2-family residence safely. Several cats and dogs were also rescued. The Red Cross is assisting the displaced residents. After a couple of weeks of increases, the pain of the pump is easing a bit in central New York. AAA says the average cost for a gallon of regular fuel right now is $3.13. That's down 2 cents from this time last week, but it's also 8 cents more than what motorists were paying at this point last month. The state average currently is at $3.19. Nationally, it's $3.14. I'm Doug Callan. That is the latest from WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM.
Heat advisory 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. today. Mix of clouds and sunshine and hot today. Scattered to late afternoon and evening showers and storms. Highs low 90s. Heat index middle to upper 90s. Upper 60s tonight. More clouds and sunshine Tuesday. Cooler. Slight chance of showers low 80s. Partly sunny mid 80s Wednesday. I'm meteorologist Ken Boone from the Weather Channel on WIBX 950 AM and 92.3 FM.
Right now we have plenty of sunshine, partly cloudy skies. And it is already 78 degrees, so a heat warning for today. Keep in mind, it's going to be hot. By the way, Mike this morning says, when is Ann from Rome opening the Hochul field office? Oh, she is no fan. And Hochul is captain of the ship. Unfortunately, the ship seems like New York's Titanic from time to time, and it certainly does. We talked earlier about Alan Wolf. He's a police officer in Old Forge, and 50 miles away, and he compared Old Forge to Utica after what happened on the 4th when police officers and first responders were attacked by a group of people after someone was shot in the street. That person ultimately died. Another person was shot in the leg. They ended up getting treatment at Wynn Hospital, and a police officer was injured. On the line right now is Sheriff Rob Mashel, and I just wanted to get a little bit of a take on, because one of the things, Sheriff, good morning.
Good morning, guys.
One of the things that that Alan Wolf, the police officer, did say is this is not a bail reform. This is not it's not legislation. It's not the restrictions on DA's offices. This seems to be something deeper than that, and it does seem to be that, right?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is deeper than that, but that is also part of the problem. I mean, you know, with the lack of consequences, I know we've talked about this for years. That adds to the issues that you know a community deals with. You know, and he had a lot of good points in his letter. Used a couple words that I probably wouldn't use if you know, and certainly in a leadership position. But you know, it's just I don't think it's fair to either place to compare the two communities because it's apples and oranges. I mean, the size, you know, complexity. One's seasonal, one's not. You know, one has 65,000 people living there, people working there, career people. I mean, 40 different languages. I mean, we could go on and on and on about the differences of two. You know, and I know in some of the comments they talked about some of the comments that, because multiple people have shared that letter, and in some of the comments they talk about leadership. I mean, leadership in the community. Again, not fair because so many great things are happening in Utica, and you know, to compare, let's say, the governmental leadership of a small community like that compared to the city. Look, I was the mayor of a small village. I was the mayor of my hometown for 12 years, New York Mills. Okay. you cannot compare what the mayor of New York Mills does to what the mayor of Utica does, let's say.
Right.
Totally, completely different. I mean, all just the issues itself, the complexity, it's not even fair. Yeah, it's a very demanding job as the mayor of a small community, but it's like I said, it is nothing compared to what a mayor of a big city, a large city deals with each and every day. And Utica has so much to offer, and it's again, you're talking the economic developments, the arts districts, the entertainment, the sports. We have people fighting every day, not with each other, but leaders in the community fighting every day to make the city better, which in turn, as the county seat, when the city thrives, the whole county thrives. So, I work with the leadership of that city every day. I mean, I was on the phone multiple times over the weekend with the police chief. The county executive and I, we work together every single day. I mean, I see people, they give it their all. I was with some council people over the weekend in Utica for the 4th of July festivities. Again, these people are in it for the right reasons. So it's just not fair to it either,
And I did hear someone said to me, all these good things happened over the weekend, from the Albany Symphony to the fireworks and all the festivities, the parade and the festivities that happened at Proctor Park. And this is what everybody's talking about. And I understand that, but the reality is, when something like this happens, bad news always travels a little faster than good news.
It does, I was listening to you and Jeff earlier. I mean, it brings flashbacks to me. All three of my kids, as you know, they all played all kinds of sports.
Yeah.
My oldest, my daughter Amanda, who's a police officer in Utica, by the way, but she played field hockey all through college at St. John Fisher. She played, but my point in saying that is, whenever we went to, and I'll use my son Robbie, we love baseball, my wife and I. Whenever we went to Robbie's baseball games or Amanda's softball games, you'd always see my wife and I at the outfield fence, all the way out, as far away from everybody. Why? Because, number one, as a police officer, then as the sheriff, I could not listen to the way these people were treating the umpires. There was actually one of my daughter's softball games in high school where the ump looked back at me, and we're friends, and said, "Sheriff, you got to eject this parent." Now, really, I'm here as a parent watching my kid play.
Right.
I really don't want to have another parent. I'm not in uniform. I'm there watching,
Right.
But so these are all things that are learned, because when these kids see their parents acting like that, obviously they begin to act like that. And, it's just, we need to really lead by example. And again, I listened to Dr. Montgomery this morning. He and I are very close friends. He is spot on. It's all what a person, when you're raising a family, you raise that family in the direction you want them to go, and that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. The problem is, though, when you're growing up in a situation where it is where something is the norm, it is tough to break that mold, and you'll oftentimes see it where maybe one will but three won't if there are 4 kids in the family. I mean, it's difficult. It's not an easy undertaking, and we're taking years and years of creating this situation and trying to undo it in a quick period of time. And that's just really, not only is it difficult, it's probably impossible.
Right, exactly. And obviously it is complex, but we're not going to correct the problem, because, like you said, some of the problems are deep problems. We're not going to correct the problems by, comparing it to something, another community that's never carried the same burdens that any large city. Because
right.
Obviously, my colleague in Albany County, the Albany County Sheriff's Office, they had a horrible weekend out in Albany.
Yeah.
So it's a disaster out there. I mean, over 10 people were shot. But communities have to work together, and you can't just, I'm going to defend the police here all day long. You can't blame the police. They're one part of a community. We need the entire community working together, from leadership to law enforcement to community groups. And the most important base and the foundation is parenting. I mean, we've got to have everybody on the same page. I don't know how we get there, but we can't give up. We need to keep working on it. And at the end of the day, humans need to act like humans. Violence is never the answer, no matter what. It's unfortunate when, law enforcement and Utica Fire, they're trying to work, to save someone's life, and they've got to be attacked by other people. Not acceptable. But you know what, Bill? There has to be consequences when people do that. And sadly, in New York State, we don't have the consequences that we had previously.
So I'm reading that it was like 400 people that were unruly in the street. And Mike brings this up, and I think it's a really good point. I think the power of social media truly amplifies these bad things. Think about it. Will someone get more clicks showing a 4th of July parade walking down the middle of the street, or a massive fight taking place in the middle of a street? And the other part of this is how quickly things travel on social media, that there actually is a fight. And people flock to that. I mean, think about it, what it was like in high school. You're in junior high school. And what happened when there was a fight in the hallway? Everybody surrounds it, and they want to see it. And all of a sudden, you have people getting involved. And I think social media probably plays a role.
It does, and social media plays a positive role in so many things, but in other instances, it's our worst enemy. And like you said, and like again, I'm going to defend the police.
Yeah.
They go to these calls. They don't want to have to deal with that. They don't, you know what I mean? And when you just, it's just unfortunate to see, like I said, there were a lot of people there. It's hard to get control of a situation like that. I mean, at best, you're trying to maintain law and order just till things calm down. Because obviously, if there's 20 police officers, but there's 400 people, it's a very challenging thing, and it's unfortunate because, like I said, that little incident like that overshadows everything great that went on over the weekend. I mean, just the crowd alone at the 4th of July parade, and just the crowd alone at the fireworks, people were out, having a great time. And unfortunately, we're going to focus on this instead of the positives. And obviously, this has to be focused on. But at the same time, we can't forget all the positives. And Utica's a great place. My dad was born and raised there, and obviously we have a lot of family there. And it's just it's a great community. And like I said, they thrive. The whole community thrives.
It is maybe the dialogue is a good thing.
It is. No, conversation is great. I mean, that's the best thing we can do is we have conversations. And again, I'll commend the officer that wrote that letter because it's sparking this conversation, which maybe will spark another conversation. And, and like I said, I'm an old school guy. I just think strong family values are where it all begins. I'll just give you a quick example. I have a couple boys that work for my wife and I on the farm over the summer, and they were at my farm yesterday. Their dad actually came along with them. These teenage boys, they stacked 850 bales of hay that I was baling in the hay, and my son was bringing it to them in the wagons. And these kids work hard, and they have strong values. They're very polite. But where do they get that? They get that from their upbringing. So I think, that can happen in a city just like it can happen in the country. Just people being positive and being positive role models and showing our youth, how much potential they have. Because, I say it all the time to people that work, in this career or any career for that matter. If you work hard and you stay out of trouble, I promise you good things will happen to you. And there's so many examples I could share with you of that. Just staying out of trouble and working hard, great things in life will happen to you. I promise you that.
Well, and the other part of this is I think that cannot be understated is that this is, say there were 400 people there. That is a minority in that section of town. And just look at Proctor, for instance. The number of students who go to school every day, perform, end up graduating, going on to do great things. With the diversity in that school district, and it only takes a much smaller amount of people to cause the chaos and the trouble that we saw on the 4th of July. But there are a lot more people that are instilling those values in their kids, whether it's a mother-father situation or whatever the dynamic is. It may be a one-parent situation. There are plenty of parents out there that are instilling that into their kids because they don't want the bad for their kids.
Exactly. And you see it time and time again. I've been to so many different events or go to a graduation ceremony or go to some of these scholarship ceremonies that happen ahead of college or ahead of high school graduations. It's incredible the accomplishments that a vast majority of these kids are making. You know what I mean? And like you said, we're just I don't know if it's human nature or what, but everyone wants to just focus on the negativity.
Yeah.
And but like I said, I cannot say enough positive about the leadership in our community across the board, because everyone wants their community to do good things. And it's like I said, this is a bump in the road. We'll get through it, but conversation like this is critical to figuring these things out. It's critical.
No doubt. Sheriff Mayfield, as always, I really appreciate you coming on and talk about this.
Sounds great, guys. Have a good day.
You do the same, Sheriff Rob Machel. Quick break, and we'll end with Joe Cardinale. He's retired NYPD Lieutenant Commander, and there's a whole thing going on in Milwaukee, and I wonder what you think of it. And that is facial recognition. So wherever you go, there's a camera, and that camera can recognize who you are and pull up details on you. Are you good with it? There are some who are not. And we'll get into it coming up here at WIBX.
When it comes to the ones we love, their comfort and dignity matter most. That is why Hospice and Palliative Care is here for you. When you want your loved ones' wishes to be honored, when you want them to be comfortable, safe, and secure, and when you want them to be wherever they call home, Hospice and Palliative Care is the right choice. Our team of professional doctors, nurses, social workers, and bereavement counselors are dedicated to providing compassionate care every step of the way. At Hospice, your loved one is not alone, and neither are you. We are just a phone call away, ready to support you through this journey. Choose Hospice and Palliative Care, serving Oneida, Herkimer, and Eastern Madison County for the comfort and dignity your loved ones deserve. For more information, visit our website, hospicecareinc.org, or call us today at 315-735-6484. Hospice and Palliative Care, Middle Settlement Road, New Hartford, serving Oneida, Herkimer, and Eastern Madison counties.
When you need us most.
Hey there, it's summer and the energy is on. One of my favorite quotes is energy is everything. Lisa here, and we're turning up the heat at Fit Body Boot Camp with our summer sizzle. Life gets crazy this time of year, but just 30 minutes of exercise can keep you fit, focused, and feeling fantastic. With 2 convenient locations in Whitesboro and Clinton, Fit Body Boot Camp's summer sizzle will help you feel confident and strong. Did I mention that we have air conditioning? We're not just a gym, we're a community that inspires fitness and changes lives. Ready to take that first step? Come join us and get fit for summer.
You're great at protecting your personal information. You might even use things like 2-factor authentication and strong passwords. But as much as you try to control how your info's protected, there are other places that also have it, and they may not be as careful. That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats. If your identity's stolen, they'll fix it guaranteed, or your money back. Save 40% your first year with my name Clay as the promo code at lifelock.com. Terms apply.
Hey, I want to tell you about if you're looking for things to do, there's plenty to do in Herkimer County. How about the new Herkimer Downtown Chowdown? Just 40 days, the opening of the 5th summer at the Downtown actually, it's open now, at the Downtown Chowdown, which is going on today, as a matter of fact, 4 till 8 o'clock in Myers Park in Herkimer. And you can enjoy it all with great food trucks, all different types of food. And it's 4 till 8 p.m. at Myers Park in Herkimer. Herkimer Diamonds. There's the Herkimer County Fair that's just around the corner. You have so much to do visiting the slopes of Macaulay Mountain in the wintertime, hundreds of scenic trails that you can do in the summertime, all throughout Herkimer County. It's history, commerce, and beauty all colliding in one place. It is happening here in Herkimer County. And if you're looking for upgrading or downsizing, looking for a new home, looking to sell what you currently have, this market is crazy. You need someone who knows what they're doing that can manage it. It's River Hills Properties, the fastest growing real estate company in central New York, dedicated to serving the people of upstate New York. They have offices in Barneveld and Little Falls, Copenhagen, Newport, in Utica and Little Falls as well. Take advantage of that experience, and you know they never use the lockbox. It's full service at River Hills Properties. And if you're thinking about moving way down, they have offices all the way down in the beautiful part of the west coast of Florida. It's just beautiful. Sarasota, Naples, Marco Island. But Bill and Robin Monjo committed to upstate New York. And call them today because nobody sells homes like River Hills Properties.
Hey, everybody in upstate New York. I don't know where in upstate New York, but thanks for listening to the Keeler Show. Never met this man. Don't know why I'm telling everybody to listen, but thank you very much. By the way, this is Larry David from Curb Your Enthusiasm. I have nothing else really to say to you, but I thank you for listening to me, tell you to listen to this man, Bill Keeler, on WIBX.
Celebrating 100 years. This is Keeler. WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM. Now back to the Keeler Show.
So I don't know where we all are. You want a safer world? Yes, we do want a safer world. But at the same time, what are you willing to give up? Are you willing to give up your privacy? And that has been an age-old question back and forth, but now with technology, it's even bigger. On the line right now is former Lieutenant Commander with NYPD, Joe Cardinale. Good morning. He is the host of the Night Court podcast, by the way. Joe, good morning.
Good morning, Bill. How are you this morning?
Good. All right. So, you know, we want things to be safer, but at the same time, how are you willing to give up your privacy? And some, I know this is going on in Milwaukee right now, some feel that facial recognition is crossing the line. What are your thoughts?
I don't think it's crossing the line. It's just updating the tools in your toolbox when you're a police officer, when you're law enforcement, to enhance cases. I personally would not solely recommend relying on this as your basis to solve a case. I mean, it's a starting tool. You still have to put the human component to it to make your case, because it's being challenged in every area of law enforcement. In court, it's being challenged. But the more they challenge it, the more powerful it becomes, because they keep tweaking it. I mean, right now we have 3D facial recognition, which gives you more depth and texture to the AI, and then you have the CNNs, which are the convolutional neural networks, and that enhances the angles and the lighting. So every time it gets challenged in court, they go above and beyond to refute what's being challenged.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good idea. I think it's a very good idea, but you have to be careful with it, because on the other side of the coin is the privacy, and
right.
I don't think I don't think Congress has put anything together for laws, protecting that right now, but it's out there. It's being used in so many areas, in arenas. They even have it now where it's using text and audio and images together. So it's really powerful, and it's a good starting point. I mean, you can enhance the police sketches with this as well.
Yeah, I feel like it is something that is very valuable, but could get into a gray area. For instance, if somebody commits a crime, and remember when we had that problem in New York City where people were just walking up, strangers would walk up and just punch a stranger in the head. It was nice to be able to have video to say, we figured out who this was because we had those video cameras. But then, you get somebody who's rude to someone, and all of a sudden it's exposed on social media because we're running cameras. I think something like that is probably crossing the line. Even though I don't like rude people, I'm not sure.
No, I agree with you, Bill. I definitely agree with you on that. I mean, this should be used for serious cases, for solving homicides, serious assaults, anything that's of a serious nature. I don't see it on the quality of life crimes. I would never want to see it for something like that.
Yeah.
All right. But when you have it on something, that's where it gets challenged in court a lot too. I mean, I think we had this discussion a while back when they were using it in Great Britain for seatbelt laws,
right?
And they were, with the cameras, with the AI, and that they challenged that, and a lot of people won those cases in court because it still it's not perfected by any means.
Yep.
Right. But what I'm saying is, and I think everybody would agree that if it helps law enforcement solve a crime with a more definitive case, a more powerful case, and you're not relying solely on this, you're going above and beyond to prove your case by tying it in with the way you normally would, I think that's a great tool, and I think they should be using it.
Well,
and the criminals should be aware that Big Brother's watching them in a more powerful way.
There you go. It may be the greatest deterrent of all when it's all said and done. And let's not forget, and let's not fool ourselves. It is coming, right? It's coming. It's here. You're going to see it more and more. And I think I agree with you. I think we should. Joe Cardinale, thank you so much as always. We'll do it again soon.
Take care, my friend. You take care.
All right. Listen, Boilermaker Weekend is this weekend. And New York Sash is celebrating in some exciting ways to help you get into the race day spirit. First up, it's time to test your local knowledge with 5Q, the Boilermaker Trivia Challenge from New York Sash. Today's theme is My Race, My Way, celebrating the inclusive way the Boilermaker operates, like the Wheelchair 15K, introduced in 1980. Just head over to NewYorkSash.com/5Q and answer 5 Boilermaker trivia questions with 5 fun clues, and you could win big. You can play every day through this Sunday, Boilermaker Sunday, and every score you give ends up helping you possibly win a Weber grill. And right now, as part of their Christmas in July, it's buy 2 New York Sash windows, get 1 free. Good luck to all runners, and good luck to you as well. Go to their website and play the 5Q game with New York Sash. And the official coffee of the Keeler in the Morning radio program is Daylight Donuts in New Hartford. A speedy drive-through. Try their Big Double X iced coffee.
From the Stanley Theater Studio, WIBX Utica, Rome, W295EI, WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM, celebrating 100 years.
Unimaginable tragedy. I'm Chris Foster. Fox News. Camp Mystic in Hunt, Texas says in a statement it's grieving the loss of 27 campers and counselors in Friday's flash flooding. The co-owner of the 99-year-old girls' Christian summer camp is dead. Camp counselor Catherine Somerville on Fox.
Dick Eastland was one of the most selfless men in the whole world. He was a inspiration to so many. He was a father figure, a comforting force in the uncertainty of everything.
And all these 82 deaths are confirmed now in Texas as search and rescue operations continue, and there's more rain and flooding in the forecast today. President Trump says letters announcing trading partners' tariff rates start going out today at noon Eastern, and he's threatening an extra import tax on members of the BRICS trade alliance, including Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. The president meets this evening with Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu.
The president says a deal with Gaza is close and there's a good chance that it happens this week. He previously told reporters that he was very firm with Netanyahu about the need to end the war, and he added that Netanyahu wants that too. And the hope is this deal, if it comes through, will involve a 60-day ceasefire where Hamas releases 10 living and 18 deceased hostages in exchange for Palestinian prisoners. Israeli forces would withdraw to a buffer zone, and UN agencies and Palestinian Red Crescent would deliver aid.
Fox's Jackie Heinrich. An Australian woman, Erin Patterson, is convicted of murdering her estranged husband's parents and aunt with poisonous mushrooms in a lunch she served in 2023.
She argued it was an accident and lied out of panic, insisting she loved her in-laws and had no reason to kill them. Patterson will have 28 days to appeal against her conviction.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. A Justice Department report says there is no evidence that Jeffrey Epstein had a client list used to blackmail powerful people, and confirms he killed himself in his cell in 2019 while awaiting trial on federal sex trafficking charges. America's listening to Fox News.
Are you living with dry AMD? If so, you could be on the road to geographic atrophy, or GA, a condition that leads to retinal cell death and permanent vision loss. But with Izervay, you can slow it down and get it going slower. Izervay slows GA progression by targeting a key source of retinal cell death, which may help preserve your vision longer. Izervay, or Avastin Capted Pagel, is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
3 people are dead, 10